Imagine standing in the middle of your life, looking around and realizing you have no idea where you're going. You feel stuck. You feel confused. You feel like everyone else has a plan, except you. But let me ask you something. How long are you going to carry that feeling before you decide to do something about it? Because the truth is, feeling lost doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're human. But what matters is what you do next. Will you drift or will you steer? Will you keep asking, why me? Or will you start asking, what now? Today, you're going to learn 20 Stoic lessons that will guide you when life feels uncertain, heavy, and directionless. These lessons aren't just ideas. They are anchors. They are reminders of your strength, your power, your clarity, even in the chaos. So stay with me, because by the end of this video, you won't just feel better, you'll feel ready. Not because the world will suddenly change, but because you will. But first, I want you to make a small promise to yourself. Write in the comments, I choose clarity. You're not just typing words, you're telling your mind, your heart, your soul that you're done with the fog. That from this moment on, you're choosing awareness over confusion, strength over fear. So write it down now, and let's begin. Number 1. Clarity comes after action, not before it. Move, start, do something, anything. That's the message. You don't need to have it all figured out before you take the first step. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need to know how it's all going to end. That's not how life works. That's not how clarity works. The biggest mistake people make when they feel lost is thinking they need to wait for the fog to clear before they move. But the Stoics knew better. Marcus Aurelius knew better. Epictetus knew better. They understood that clarity is not something you wait for. It's something you earn by acting, even when you're unsure. Imagine you're standing in a room filled with darkness. You don't know where the exit is. You don't know what's around you. But if you stay still, if you refuse to move, nothing changes. You stay lost. But if you take one small step, maybe you hit a wall, or maybe you find a light switch. Either way, you learn, and that's the point. You find your way by moving, not by standing still. Most people freeze when they're uncertain. They overthink. They make pros and cons lists. They ask everyone for advice. They wait for some kind of magical moment where everything becomes clear. But that moment rarely comes. And even when it does, it usually comes after you've already taken action, not before. Stoicism teaches us that the mind becomes clearer through motion. Not just physical motion, but purposeful motion. The act of doing, of choosing, of starting, even if you're not sure where it leads. Seneca once said, "If one does not know to which port one is sailing, no wind is favorable." But that doesn't mean you sit on the shore forever. It means you pick a direction and start sailing. You adjust the sails as you go. You learn by doing. The truth is, the longer you sit still waiting for certainty, the more doubt builds up in your mind. You start asking the wrong questions. What if I fail? What if it's the wrong path? What if I don't like it? But the Stoics didn't waste time on questions they couldn't answer. They acted based on values, not feelings. They moved forward with courage, not guarantees. So what does this mean for you? It means that if you feel lost right now, you don't need a 10-step plan to fix your life. You need one step, just one. A small, honest step in a direction that feels slightly better than where you are now. That's it. Don't underestimate the power of one action. Reading one page, making one call, going on one walk, saying no to one distraction. These are the sparks that light the fire. These are the seeds that grow into clarity. When Marcus Aurelius felt overwhelmed by the weight of the Roman Empire, he didn't say, "I need a perfect solution." He asked, "What is the right thing to do right now?" He focused on the next action, the next choice, the next moment, and from that habit came wisdom, clarity, and peace. So if you're waiting for certainty before you begin, stop. You won't think your way into clarity. You won't overanalyze your way into purpose. You have to act your way into it. Start small. Start now. Start where you are. And remember this: clarity is not a gift. It's a reward. It comes after you begin, not before. So don't sit in your confusion. Don't drown in questions. Stand up. Do something. Anything. Take one real step forward, and then take another. Because once you move, the fog will begin to lift, and with each step, the path will reveal itself. Clarity comes after action, not before it. Number 2, you are not obligated to have an opinion. You don't have to respond. You don't have to explain. You don't have to jump into every conversation, every argument, every debate. Just because someone says something doesn't mean you need to say something back. Just because a topic is loud, trending, or dramatic doesn't mean it deserves space in your mind. The Stoics knew this well. Epictetus said, "We are not disturbed by things, but by the views we take of things." And most of those views? Unnecessary. Opinions we weren't forced to have. Thoughts we chose to carry. Reactions we never questioned. That's where so much of your anxiety comes from. Not reality, but your opinion about reality. You are not weak for staying silent. You are not avoiding life by not picking a side. In fact, choosing not to form an opinion on something that doesn't concern your character, your duty, or your values, that is strength, that is control, that is wisdom. Look around. Everyone wants to be heard. Everyone wants to argue. Everyone wants to prove a point. But the Stoic doesn't chase noise. They protect peace. You were not put on this earth to weigh in on everything. You were not created to be a judge of every event, every headline, every decision made by others. That's not your job. That's not your purpose. That's distraction. That's ego. And that's a trap. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, led one of the largest empires in history. But even he, with all the power in the world, reminded himself, "You always have the option of having no opinion." Think about that. Even with armies under his command, with advisors whispering in his ear, with endless conflict and pressure, he still chose silence when silence served him better. Ask yourself, how many of your thoughts are truly yours? How many are borrowed from the internet, from media, from friends, from strangers you've never met? How much time do you waste reacting to things that have nothing to do with your values or your growth? Here's what the Stoic does. They observe, they reflect, they measure their words carefully, and often they say nothing. Not because they have nothing to say, but because what they don't say is more powerful than what they could. Let others argue. Let others shout. You hold your ground. You choose stillness. You choose clarity. You choose to focus on your own mind, your own habits, your own choices. You don't have to reply to every message. You don't have to comment on every topic. You don't have to carry opinions like heavy stones in your pocket. You can set them down. You can choose to say, "I don't know," or "That's not mine to carry." That choice is power. That's what the Stoics called ataraxia, peace of mind. And peace of mind doesn't come from knowing everything. It comes from knowing what to ignore. So when the world tries to pull your attention, when people demand your stance, When your mind itches to react, pause, breathe. Ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Does this help me become who I want to be? Or is this just noise? Most of the time, you'll find that silence serves you better. Remember this, you are not a machine built to respond. You are a mind built to choose, and you have the right, the freedom, to choose no opinion at all. That's not avoidance. That's wisdom. That's discipline. That's peace. Number 3, not every duty is your duty. You are not here to carry the weight of the world. You are not here to fix every problem, answer every call, or say yes to every request. You are not here to exhaust yourself trying to be everything for everyone. That's not Stoic. That's self-destruction. Marcus Aurelius, who ruled an empire and faced endless demands, still reminded himself, if it's not right, don't do it. If it's not true, don't say it. In other words, just because something needs doing doesn't mean you're the one who needs to do it. But this is hard to accept in a world that constantly tells you, be useful, be involved, be available, be responsible for everything. But Stoicism teaches the opposite. It teaches discernment. It teaches limits. You are responsible for your character, for your judgments, for your choices. That's your real duty. Everything else, that's optional, that's negotiable, that's not always yours. Look around your life. How many tasks are you doing out of guilt? How many roles are you playing just to avoid disappointing someone? How many responsibilities have you taken on simply because no one else would? Be honest. Are they truly yours to carry? The Stoics would say no. If it's outside your role, outside your control, outside your values, then it's not your burden. Let it go. Marcus Aurelius faced constant pressure, wars, politics, betrayal, sickness, but he didn't let that drown him. Why? Because he filtered every task through a simple question. Is this my job? If yes, he gave it his full attention. If no, he released it. Quietly. Completely. Without shame. You must learn to do the same. People will try to place their urgency on you. They will call you selfish if you set boundaries. They will say, you've changed. But the Stoic doesn't live for approval. The Stoic lives for alignment. You are not cold for protecting your energy. You are not unkind for saying, that's not mine. You are honest. You are grounded. You are free. Seneca said, no person has the power to have everything they want, but it is in their power not to want what they don't have. The same applies to responsibility. You don't have to take on what isn't yours, and you don't have to feel bad for choosing what is. Let go of the idea that you're lazy for resting. Let go of the need to prove your worth through overwork. Let go of the belief that you must solve everything for everyone. Ask yourself, is this truly my role? Is this aligned with who I want to become? Or am I just reacting? You were not born to be burned out. You were born to live with reason, with direction, with focus. And you can't do that if your time, energy, and mind are scattered across 1,000 false duties. So stop, breathe, return to yourself. You're allowed to step back. You're allowed to say no. You're allowed to protect your space. Not out of laziness, out of wisdom. Because not every duty is your duty. And knowing that, that's how you stay light in a heavy world. Number 4. Your emotions are data, not commands. You feel something, anger, fear, sadness, frustration, and it hits you like a wave, fast, strong, sometimes without warning. Your heart races, your thoughts get loud, and your first instinct? Act on it, respond, say something, do something, change something. But hold on. The Stoics knew this feeling well. They felt the same emotions. They were human, but they didn't let emotions steer the ship. Because to the Stoic, emotions are not the problem. It's what you do with them that matters. Your emotions are signals. They are messengers. They give you information about how you're experiencing the world in that moment. But they are not your master. They don't give orders. They don't decide your actions. You do. Epictetus said it best. It's not things that disturb us, but our interpretation of them. And your interpretations are often colored by emotion. That's why the Stoic pauses before reacting, not to suppress feelings, but to study them. Imagine your emotions as visitors. They knock on the door. You let them in. You listen to what they have to say, but you don't hand over the keys to your house. You don't let them take control. You remain the host. You see, feelings aren't facts, and they certainly aren't fate. Just because you feel afraid doesn't mean you're in danger. Just because you feel angry doesn't mean someone wronged you. Just because you feel sad doesn't mean your life is broken. The Stoics trained themselves to ask, is this feeling useful? Is it true? Is it leading me toward virtue or away from it? Marcus Aurelius, facing betrayal, disease, war, and personal grief, wrote in his journal, not to vent, but to reflect. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That strength starts when you stop obeying every emotional impulse. You're allowed to feel. That's human. But you are not obligated to act on every feeling the moment it arises. Someone criticizes you, your pride flares up. You want to snap back, pause, feel it, then choose. Is this a battle worth fighting? You see a failure in your work. You feel shame, doubt. You want to quit. Pause, feel it. Then ask, what can I learn from this? You feel overwhelmed, like you're falling behind. The urge is to panic, to rush, but the Stoic breathes. The Stoic observes. The Stoic returns to the present. Feelings come and go. They rise and fall like waves. But your character, that's the anchor. That's what holds you steady. And the more you practice watching your emotions without being ruled by them, the more control you gain over your life. So what do you do when an emotion hits you? You don't fight it. You don't follow it. You witness it. You say, "Ah, I see you. I feel you. But I will choose what comes next." This is not coldness. This is power. Emotional mastery is not the absence of feeling. It's the ability to feel deeply, without being driven blindly. So next time a wave of emotion rises, don't drown in it. Stand still, let it pass. And remember, your emotions are data, not commands. Let them inform you, but never let them control you. Number 5. Peace often begins with subtraction. We always think we need more habits, more goals, more answers, more books, more productivity hacks, more tools, more success, more people, more everything. But the Stoics saw the truth. Most of life is not about adding, it's about removing. Seneca, the Roman philosopher, said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor." And that craving for more is what keeps most people anxious, overwhelmed, and lost. You don't need more to feel better. You need less noise, less distraction, less clutter, less pretending, less comparison, less chasing. Subtraction is where peace begins. Think about your mind right now. Is it full of thoughts that don't serve you? Regrets you can't change, worries you can't control. expectations that aren't even yours. That weight you carry, that's not strength, that's noise. And Stoicism is about silence, stillness, focus. You don't find peace by doing more, you find peace by letting go. Let go of needing to impress everyone. Let go of proving yourself every day. Let go of the belief that your value comes from what you produce or how busy you are. That's not peace. That's slavery. Start small. Look at your day. What can you subtract? One task that doesn't matter. One toxic voice you keep listening to. One habit that wastes your time. One thought that drains your spirit. One app, one tab, one pressure, one lie. Remove one thing, just one. You'll feel the shift. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you seek tranquility, do less, or more accurately, do what's essential, and in the essential, do it well." In other words, it's not just about doing less, it's about doing less of what doesn't matter, so you can do more of what does. This is not about laziness, it's about discipline. The discipline to say no, to walk away, to simplify, to stop letting the world dump its chaos into your life. And this goes deeper than your calendar. It touches your identity. How many of your roles, your goals, your dreams, your fears aren't really yours? How many were handed to you by society, family, culture, fear? Let them go, because peace isn't something you chase. It's something that rises up when the clutter falls away. When you subtract what's false, what's unnecessary, what's shallow, you make room for what's real, for what's clear, for what actually matters. Seneca lived simply. He had wealth, but he trained himself to sleep on the floor, to eat plain food, to feel the strength of not needing. He practiced subtraction daily, and in that practice, he found freedom. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, the next time your mind is noisy, don't look for another answer to add. Look for something to take away. Clear the space, quiet the noise, strip away the extra, and you'll find that what remains is peace. Because peace doesn't come when you get everything. Peace comes when you no longer need everything. Peace often begins with subtraction. So remove what doesn't belong and watch what rises. Number 6. Fate does not ask for your permission. Life will hit you without warning. One day you wake up and everything is fine. The next, your plans fall apart. Someone lets you down. Something breaks. You lose what you thought you'd always have. And when that happens, your first thought might be, why me? But the truth is, why not you? Fate doesn't ask. It doesn't check your schedule. It doesn't care if you're ready. It doesn't explain itself. That's not cruelty. That's not punishment. That's nature. That's life. To the Stoic, life is not unfair. It is indifferent. It doesn't play favorites. It doesn't guarantee safety. It simply moves. And the wise person doesn't fight that. They learn to move with it. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, lost children, faced betrayal, led during plague and war. He didn't ask, why is this happening to me? He asked, how can I respond with strength, with reason, with virtue? He understood a simple but powerful truth. You don't control the world. You only control how you meet it. You're not responsible for the storm, but you're responsible for how you stand in it. You don't control the wind, but you control the sails. That's where your power is. That's where your freedom is. And this doesn't mean you become passive. This doesn't mean you give up and say, oh well. It means you stop resisting reality. You stop wasting energy wishing the world were different, and you start using that energy to face it. Seneca said, "A good character, when tested by misfortune, shines brighter." Because anyone can be calm when everything is going well. The Stoic trains for the moment when it doesn't. That's when the real work begins. So when fate shows up, when things don't go your way, don't ask for explanation. Don't beg for fairness. Ask, "What now? You lost your job? Okay, what now? Your plans changed? What now? You were rejected, disappointed, hurt. What now? Fate has already acted. Your choice is next. Will you respond with bitterness or clarity? Will you collapse or will you adapt? Will you complain or will you move forward with strength?" The Stoics didn't deny pain. They didn't pretend bad things don't happen. They just refused to be owned by those things. They faced every blow with a calm mind and a steady spirit. Because they knew the world doesn't owe you comfort. It doesn't owe you an explanation. And that's okay. What it does give you is a chance to show who you are, a chance to choose character, a chance to rise again and again, no matter how many times you fall. So next time fate surprises you, pause, breathe, don't curse it, don't resist it. Step forward, respond with dignity, respond with purpose. Remember, fate does not ask for your permission, but how you meet it. That's always yours to decide. Number 7, you don't need more time. You need less distraction. How often do you say it? I wish I had more time. I just need a few more hours in the day. If only I had more time, I'd finally get my life together. But here's the truth. You don't need more time. You've always had enough. What you need is fewer things stealing it from you. Seneca said it plainly over 2,000 years ago. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Time is not your problem. Distraction is. You have 24 hours today, same as Marcus Aurelius had, same as every Stoic, every leader, every artist, every thinker in history. And yet, they built empires, wrote books, changed the world. Not because they had more hours, but because they knew how to protect them. The Stoic understands that time is life. Every wasted minute is not just a lost moment. It's a piece of your soul that you don't get back. So ask yourself, where is your time really going? You open your phone just to check one thing. 20 minutes vanish. You start a task, but then switch to another. Nothing gets done. You scroll, you refresh, you chase dopamine. You're not busy, you're scattered. You're not short on time, you're drowning in noise. And noise is the enemy of depth. The Stoics were masters of focus. They didn't try to do everything. They didn't multitask. They didn't fill their minds with endless stimulation. They lived with intention, one thing at a time, with full presence, full clarity. When Epictetus taught his students, he didn't just speak about wisdom, he lived it. He simplified, he focused, he cut away the unnecessary. Not because he had no responsibilities, but because he refused to waste time on what didn't build his character. You can do the same. Start by noticing your distractions. Really notice them. Don't just say, "I'm bad at focusing." Look at why. Look at what pulls you. Is it your phone, your guilt, your need to please everyone, your fear of sitting in silence? Then choose. Choose to reclaim your time, not by force, but by clarity. Do less, but do it fully. Check your phone after your work is done, not before. Say no to things that don't align with your purpose, even if they're urgent. Carve out small blocks of uninterrupted time. Even 10 minutes of real focus is more valuable than an hour of distraction. You don't need a productivity app. You don't need a new schedule. You need to guard your attention like it's your life, because it is. The Stoics' goal is not to get more done. It's to do what matters and to do it well. So don't ask for more hours. Ask what's stealing the ones you already have. Because when you subtract distraction, you reveal time. And when you use time with intention, you build a life of peace, depth, and purpose. You don't need more time. You need less distraction, and that choice is always yours. Number 8. Being disliked can be a sign of your integrity. You want to do the right thing. You want to stay true to your values. You want to live with honesty, courage, and purpose. But the moment you do, something strange happens. People start to pull away. They question you. They talk about you. Some might even turn against you. And you wonder, did I do something wrong? But here's what the Stoics would tell you. No, you probably did something right. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men in history, wrote in his journal, not for fame, not for praise, but to remind himself, you have to expect it. People will gossip. People will criticize. People will misunderstand. But none of that is your concern. Why? Because approval was never the goal. Virtue was. Too often, we shape ourselves around what others might think. We change our behavior so we don't upset anyone. We stay silent so we won't be judged. We hide our truth to be accepted. But what does that cost you? It costs your peace. It costs your strength. It costs your integrity. Stoicism teaches you to live according to principle, not popularity. And when you do that, when you speak honestly, when you stand your ground, when you live with self-respect, some people won't like it. That's not failure. That's proof. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." That's not because you are foolish. It's because people don't always understand integrity, especially when it challenges them, especially when it makes them uncomfortable. Sometimes your silence will offend people. Sometimes your boundaries will upset them. Sometimes your peace will disturb their chaos. That's okay. You weren't put here to please everyone. You weren't born to blend in. You're here to live by your values, to become the strongest, most grounded version of yourself. That path is not always liked, but it is always worth it. Ask yourself, would I rather be respected by others or by myself? The Stoic always chooses the inner path. They'd rather be misunderstood for staying true than praised for being fake. They'd rather be alone with peace than surrounded by people and full of regret. And over time, those who matter, the ones with depth, with truth, with character, will see you clearly. But even if they don't, you'll know who you are. That's something no amount of criticism can take away. So when you speak up and they judge you, keep speaking. When you set boundaries and they push back, hold the line. When you walk your path and others mock it, keep walking. Because integrity is not about being liked, it's about being whole. It's about living in alignment with what you know is right. And if that makes some people uncomfortable, let them be uncomfortable. You're not here for approval, you're here for growth. And sometimes being disliked is the clearest sign that you've finally stopped living for others and started living for truth. Number 9. Even confusion is part of the path. You feel stuck, uncertain, like you're floating through life without a clear direction. You look around and think everyone else has it figured out while you're just lost. But here's what the Stoics would tell you. That feeling, that confusion, that uncertainty, it's part of the process. Seneca said, "If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable." Yes, that's true. But here's the part no one talks about. Realizing you don't know where you're going is already a huge step forward, because most people are lost and don't even know it. They chase goals that aren't theirs. They follow paths because others told them to. They keep moving fast, but in the wrong direction. You've paused. You've noticed. You've asked the question. That awareness, that discomfort, that's the beginning of change. The Stoics never claimed to have every answer. They didn't say the path would always be straight, but they embraced uncertainty. Why? Because it's honest, because it's real, because from confusion comes clarity, but only if you stay awake. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, wrote to himself in his darkest hours, not because he had perfect clarity, but because he was wrestling with life just like you. He didn't hide from the fog, he walked through it, one step at a time, with honesty, with discipline, with courage. That's the Stoic way. So if you feel lost, good. That means you've started to look. That means your eyes are open. That means you're ready to stop living on autopilot. The key is not to panic, not to numb it, not to rush for answers just to quiet the discomfort. The key is to sit with it, observe it. Ask yourself, what truly matters to me? What am I doing each day? Who am I becoming? Those questions will sting at first. They'll expose cracks, but cracks let the light in. Confusion doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're growing. It means your old ways of thinking are falling apart. That's not failure. That's space. Space to build something better, something real. So don't try to figure it all out in one night. Don't expect the whole path to appear. You don't need a 10-year plan. You just need your next step. Write something, reflect, learn, take a walk, let go of what no longer fits. Do one thing, small, honest, imperfect. That's how direction is built, not by waiting for the perfect map, but by moving through the fog with your eyes open. And yes, you'll make mistakes, you'll take wrong turns, but the Stoic doesn't fear that, because every wrong turn brings a lesson. Every step teaches you something. Every moment of doubt is a doorway to understanding, if you don't run from it. So when you feel lost, don't collapse, don't retreat. Stand up, breathe, and remind yourself, even confusion is part of the path. Not knowing everything is not weakness, it's the beginning of wisdom. You're not behind. You're exactly where you need to be, awake, aware, and ready to grow. And that's progress. That's the path. Number 10. Your story is not unique, and that's a blessing. You feel like no one understands, like you're walking through something no one else has ever faced. You feel isolated, confused, overwhelmed. Maybe you've told yourself, no one gets it. No one would understand what I'm going through. But here's the truth. They would. Because someone already has. The Stoics knew this, that no matter how personal your pain feels, no matter how new your problem seems, it's not. It has all been lived before, in different times, with different names, through different faces. But the core, the struggle, it's the same. You are not the first person to feel lost. You are not the first person to feel broken. You are not the first person to feel like giving up. And that's not meant to make you feel small, it's meant to make you feel less alone. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal, "Whatever happens to you has happened before. It is happening now to others. It will happen again." He didn't say that to dismiss pain. He said it to remind himself, this is part of the human experience. And because others have walked this path before you, It means there is wisdom waiting. There are answers. There is perspective. You are not lost in the dark with no map. The people who came before you, they left the light on. That's what Stoicism is. A record of survival, a playbook for resilience, a voice from the past saying, "I've been where you are, and here's how I made it through." Read the words of Seneca when you feel overwhelmed. He battled illness, exile, betrayal. He wrote letters not just for friends, but for you. Letters to guide someone he would never meet. Read Marcus when you feel small. He ruled an empire but struggled with stress, fatigue, and fear. He wrote to himself, reminding his own heart to stay strong. Read Epictetus when you feel powerless. He was born a slave. He had nothing, but he trained his mind like a soldier, and he taught others to do the same. Your story is not unique, and that's not shameful. That's hopeful. It means you belong to a long, unbroken chain of humans who have fallen and risen again. It means others have stared into the same darkness and found a way forward. So when you feel like your pain is too big, like your confusion is too deep, like your story is too complicated, pause. Look back. Reach for the words of those who lived before you. You'll find pieces of yourself in their pages, and you'll realize something powerful. You're not the only one. You've never been the only one. What hurt you has hurt others. What challenges you has shaped others. What nearly broke you has built others. And if they made it through, so can you. You don't need to figure it all out alone. You don't need to pretend your suffering is new. You just need to listen to the past. It's where your future begins, because your story is not unique. And that's the best news you'll hear today. Number 11. Comfort breeds weakness. Discomfort reveals strength. You crave it. Warmth, safety, predictability. Comfort feels good. It feels easy. It feels safe. But here's the truth the Stoics knew. Comfort is a slow poison. The more you seek it, the more it softens you. The more you cling to ease, the more it robs you of your edge, your power, your growth. You weren't built for a life of constant pleasure. You were built for challenge, for tension, for sharpening. And that only comes through discomfort. Seneca didn't just write about this. He lived it. He trained himself to sleep on the floor, to wear rough clothes, to eat plain food. Why? Not because he had to, but because he knew that avoiding pain makes the soul fragile. He said, "Set aside now and then a few days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, and ask yourself, is this the condition I feared?" Comfort tricks you into thinking you're strong. It makes your world small. You stop taking risks. You stop asking questions. You stop moving forward. Why? Because you've built a cage out of convenience. And once you're trapped in that cage, anything hard feels impossible. But discomfort, that's where you meet your real self. Every Stoic, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, they all believed this. You don't become stronger by avoiding the fire. You become stronger by stepping into it with purpose. Epictetus was born a slave. His leg was broken by his master. He lived with pain every day, but he didn't let that destroy him. He used it. He faced it. He turned it into strength. He said, "Difficulties show a person's character. So when trouble comes, think of yourself as a wrestler whom God, like a trainer, has paired with a tough opponent." You don't grow when things are easy. You grow when you stretch, when you push, when you fall and get back up. That's how you build resilience. That's how you build discipline. That's how you discover who you really are. So the next time something feels hard, uncomfortable, or painful, Don't run from it. Step into it. Not carelessly, but intentionally. Use it. A cold shower, a tough workout, an honest conversation, a habit you've been avoiding, a task you fear. These are not punishments. They are training grounds. Each one sharpens your edge. Each one makes you stronger. Each one breaks the grip of comfort. Marcus Aurelius faced war, betrayal, sickness, and death. Yet he wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." He didn't pray for ease, he prepared for reality, and in doing so, he became unshakable. That's the path you must choose, not the easy one, but the real one. The path of discomfort, the path of resistance, the path that molds character. So when you feel the urge to avoid, to escape, to delay, pause. Ask yourself, is this comfort making me stronger, or is it making me soft? Then choose the harder thing, not to suffer, but to grow. Because the Stoics didn't seek pain, they used it. And so can you. Comfort breeds weakness. Discomfort reveals strength. Face it and sharpen yourself. Number 12. Anger often hides helplessness. You feel the heat rise in your chest. Your jaw tightens. Your voice sharpens. You slam the door. You send the message. You say the words. You feel powerful for a moment. But when the dust settles, when the adrenaline fades, you're left with something else underneath. Not strength, not clarity, not peace. You're left with helplessness. The Stoics understood this. They never saw anger as strength. They saw it as a mask, a surface emotion covering something much more raw: powerlessness, pain, fear, disappointment. Seneca, who wrote an entire essay called On Anger, warned, "No plague has cost the human race more." He wasn't talking about sickness. He was talking about unexamined emotion, anger that goes unchecked, unchallenged, ununderstood. And yet today, anger is glorified. It's mistaken for leadership, for confidence, for toughness. But in Stoicism, anger is not a sign of control, it's a sign you've lost it. The Stoic doesn't ignore anger. They don't suppress it. They study it. They ask, where is this coming from? What is this feeling trying to tell me? What am I avoiding? Because more often than not, anger is your mind's way of saying, I feel out of control and I don't know what to do about it. You're angry at someone's words, but deep down it's because they made you feel small. You're angry at a mistake, but it's because you feel like you're failing. You're angry at life, but it's because you feel lost and no one's coming to fix it. Epictetus said, "When you are offended at any man's fault, turn to yourself and study your own failings. Then you will forget your anger." Not because you're excusing what happened, but because anger turned inward becomes insight, and insight leads to power. So what should you do when you feel that fire rising? Pause, breathe, don't obey it, observe it, ask. What part of me feels out of control right now? Ask, is this truly about them or about me? Ask, what would it look like to respond instead of react? You don't need to yell to be heard. You don't need to explode to be strong. The Stoic teaches through calm, not chaos. They lead with reason, not rage. Marcus Aurelius, burdened with leadership and betrayal, reminded himself daily, how much more harmful are the consequences of anger than the causes of it. In other words, the damage often comes after the feeling, not from the event, but from how you chose to meet it. So choose differently. Let your anger reveal the truth, not distort it. Let it point to a wound you need to heal, a belief you need to challenge, a fear you need to face. Anger is a signal, not a solution. It's a symptom, not a strategy. And when you feel it, don't run from it. Sit with it, study it, learn from it. Because once you trace it back to the root, you won't just feel powerful, you will be powerful. The kind of power that doesn't lash out. The kind of power that doesn't need to raise its voice. The kind of power that doesn't let emotion drag it by the hand. Remember, anger often hides helplessness, and the Stoic doesn't get lost in the noise. They listen, they learn, and then they act with clarity. Number 13. Impressions lie. Always test them. You see something, you hear something, you feel something, and instantly, without thinking, you react. You judge, you assume, you believe. But what if what you saw wasn't real? What if what you felt wasn't the truth? The Stoics had a word for this: impressions, your immediate thoughts, reactions, and interpretations of what happens around you. Epictetus warned, don't be swept away by the appearance of things. Because that's what impressions are. Appearances, not facts, not reality, just first drafts. And first drafts often lie. The moment something happens, your mind rushes in to label it. This is bad, this is unfair, this is personal, this is urgent. But most of the time, it's none of those things. It only feels that way because you didn't pause long enough to test it. The Stoic doesn't accept every impression. They challenge it. You get an angry message? Your first impression says, they hate me, I failed. But is that true? Or did you just assume? You hear silence from someone. Your impression says, they're ignoring me. But maybe they're just busy. Maybe it's not about you at all. You face a setback? The impression screams, I'm doomed. Everything is falling apart. But maybe it's a lesson, a redirection, a necessary pain. Epictetus taught his students to ask 3 questions the moment an impression appeared. Is this true? Is this useful? Is this endurable? Truth, utility, endurance. If your impression doesn't pass all 3, it doesn't deserve your belief. Because believing every thought that enters your mind is like handing your life to a stranger. You lose control. You react instead of respond. You spiral instead of stand. Marcus Aurelius, in his darkest moments, reminded himself, you have the power to strip away many superfluous troubles, for they exist only in your mind. And it's true. Most of your suffering doesn't come from the world. It comes from what you tell yourself about the world. So how do you take control? You pause. You breathe. You hold the impression at arm's length. You say, wait, let me look at this. You become the observer, not the victim. The thinker, not the reactor. You don't ignore the impression. You examine it. You test it. You challenge it. And only then, if it earns your trust, do you accept it. This takes discipline, mental strength, self-awareness. But it's the path to clarity, and it's what separates the Stoic from the impulsive. Because the world will always throw noise at you. Always. But the Stoic doesn't let that noise decide who they are or how they live. You do not have to believe every anxious thought. You do not have to obey every emotional surge. You do not have to trust every story your mind tells you. You can stop. You can reflect. You can choose. That is power. Impressions lie. Always test them. Truth deserves your belief. Impulse does not. Number 14. Momentum is moral. You're stuck. You're thinking, planning, waiting, overanalyzing, You want to make the right move, the perfect one. But while you're standing still, life keeps moving. Opportunities pass. Growth stalls. And inside, something begins to rot, not from failure, but from inaction. The Stoics understood this deeply. Virtue isn't just about what you think, it's about what you do. And what you do, even if imperfect, is worth more than all the flawless plans that never leave your mind. Momentum is moral. Why? Because the person who acts, who steps forward, who risks, who moves, is engaging with life. They're showing courage, discipline, will. These are the traits the Stoics built their philosophy around. Epictetus didn't talk about becoming great through constant planning. He said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." That means don't just talk, live it. Don't just think, move. Don't wait to feel ready, just begin. Because waiting for the perfect moment, that's a trap. Perfectionism is often fear in disguise. You say, "I'm just being careful," but what you're really saying is, "I'm afraid of being wrong. I'm afraid of wasting time. I'm afraid of failing." But standing still is wasting time. Doing nothing is failing, slowly. Marcus Aurelius, faced with war, betrayal, and uncertainty, didn't freeze. He didn't say, "Let's hold off until I'm absolutely sure." He acted calmly, decisively, in alignment with reason. Even when the outcome wasn't guaranteed. Even when the path wasn't clear. Because in Stoicism, motion is strength. It builds momentum. It builds courage. It builds virtue. You don't need to leap. You don't need to transform your life overnight. You just need to take the next right step, and then the next one, and then the next. That's how confidence is built, not in the mind, but in movement. And here's the truth. Motion clarifies. When you act, you learn. When you wait, you guess. So write the thing, make the call, start the habit. Even if it's messy, even if it's awkward, even if you don't know exactly where it's leading. The Stoic doesn't waste time on the illusion of certainty. They move with intention, even if it's small. Seneca wrote, "While we are postponing, life speeds by." He didn't say to rush. He said to begin, to start walking. Because once you're in motion, the path starts to reveal itself. There's honor in action. There's dignity in trying. There's strength in showing up when it's easier to stay frozen. Don't wait until you feel brave. Action is how you become brave. And don't tell yourself the lie that you're just not ready. You become ready by doing. So whatever you've been hesitating on, whatever you've been holding off for the right time, this is your sign. Start, move, try. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to begin. Momentum is moral, and action, however small, is always greater than endless delay. Number 15. Don't just admire virtue, practice it. You read the quotes, you highlight the pages, you nod your head and say, "Yes, that's powerful." But then what? You go back to your habits. You scroll. You avoid. You react. You forget. You admire virtue like it's a statue in a museum. Beautiful, distant, untouchable. But Stoicism is not a philosophy to admire. It is a code to live, especially when it's hard, especially when no one is watching. Marcus Aurelius didn't write meditations to impress anyone. He didn't post his thoughts for likes. He wrote to remind himself how to be better, because he knew reading about virtue means nothing if you don't practice it. You say you value courage, but when fear shows up, do you run? You say you value discipline, But do you stay consistent when no one's checking? You say you value honesty, but do you twist the truth when it's convenient? The Stoics believe that real strength is quiet. It doesn't shout. It doesn't perform. It doesn't need an audience. It shows up in the moment when you could cut corners and don't, when you could lie and don't, when you could run but stand still instead. Seneca said, "Virtue is not an act, it is a habit." That means it's not something you do once. It's something you train, like a muscle. You practice justice, courage, self-control and wisdom, not when it's easy, but when it's uncomfortable. And when you fall short, which you will, you don't quit. You don't fake it. You return to the work, every day, every hour, because virtue isn't something you have. It's something you build by choice, by action, by effort. The Stoic doesn't care about looking good. They care about being good. They don't need praise. They don't need to be noticed. They train in silence. They act in alignment. They live in truth. So, if you admire Stoicism, good. But admiration isn't enough. Practice is what transforms you. Start small. Tell the truth when it's awkward. Keep your promise when no one's watching. Say no to the easy path when the right one is harder. Pause before reacting. Speak with purpose. Live with aim, not because it makes you look stoic, but because it makes you free. So when the moment comes, not in theory, not in books, but in life, will you admire Stoicism or embody it? The choice is yours. And the world doesn't need more people quoting wisdom. It needs more people living it. Don't just admire virtue, practice it. And let your actions speak what your words cannot. Number 16. Your future is formed in how you handle boring days. Not every day will test your strength. Not every day will bring a crisis, a tragedy, or a life-changing decision. Most days will be quiet, repetitive, ordinary. And that's exactly where your future is being built. The Stoics didn't just train for battle, they trained for boredom, for silence, for repetition. They understood that how you show up in the unremarkable moments determines who you become in the unavoidable ones. It's easy to be stoic during a storm, when everything is falling apart and the world demands a response. But what about when the world says nothing? What about when no one's watching? What about when the day feels dull and the mind starts to wander? That's the real test. Marcus Aurelius didn't write Meditations to impress anyone. He wrote it quietly, in between the chaos of war and duty, during the stillness of early mornings and long evenings. He practiced philosophy in routine, not just in emergency. Because the Stoics' strength isn't measured by how loud they are in a crisis, but by how consistent they are in the mundane. You want a better life? Don't wait for some dramatic turning point. Build it on the days when nothing special happens. It's in the small choices. Waking up when you said you would. Doing the work even when you don't feel like it. Keeping your word, especially to yourself. Taking care of your body, training your mind, choosing presence over distraction, choosing reason over laziness. These aren't glamorous moments. They're ordinary. But ordinary, done with discipline, becomes extraordinary over time. Epictetus taught his students not just how to handle loss or hardship, but how to handle daily life. He told them to focus on the practice, not the performance, the preparation, not the praise, because boredom isn't your enemy, it's your teacher. It shows you whether your habits are real or just for show. It reveals whether you've built discipline or just adrenaline. It asks, can you do the right thing when no one's clapping, when no one's watching, when no one's forcing you. That's where real character is formed. So the next time you wake up and think, today is just another day, stop. It's never just another day. It's a brick in the wall of your future. It's a vote for who you're becoming. It's a chance to train, to sharpen, to grow, even if the world stays quiet. Don't waste the quiet days. Don't wait for chaos to start practicing self-control. Don't wait for urgency to start showing up with purpose. The Stoic builds in silence. They train in peace. And because of that, when the storms come, they are ready. Your future is not built in the big moments. It's built in how you handle the boring ones. So treat today like it matters, because it does. Number 17. I don't know is a Stoic answer. You're asked a question. You feel the pressure to respond, to sound smart, to have it figured out. So you guess. You bluff. You repeat something you heard. Why? Because you think not knowing is weakness. You think admitting uncertainty makes you look small. But the Stoics would say the opposite. I don't know is not weakness. It's strength. It's clarity. It's the beginning of wisdom. Epictetus taught his students that arrogance is a kind of blindness, a refusal to see your own limits. And when you pretend to know, when you speak without understanding, you're not showing intelligence, you're showing fear. Fear of appearing uncertain, fear of seeming behind, fear of saying, I don't know. But here's the truth. The wisest people in history were never the loudest. They were the ones who questioned, who listened, who doubted their own views, tested them, and stayed open. Socrates, the great teacher of Stoic thinkers, was known for saying, I know that I know nothing. That was his power, his humility, his willingness to see things clearly, even if it meant facing the unknown. Marcus Aurelius could have claimed to know everything. He was Emperor of Rome. But in his journals, he constantly reminded himself to stay grounded, to keep learning, to never speak with more certainty than the facts allowed. The Stoic knows that pretending to know blocks growth. But admitting you don't, that opens the door. It makes you honest. It makes you curious. It makes you teachable. When you say, I don't know, you stop performing. You start learning. You stop defending. You start asking better questions. You stop closing your mind. You start expanding it. Think about it. How many mistakes in your life came from acting like you had the answer when you didn't? How much time, energy, and peace have you lost just trying to look certain? Let it go. The next time you don't know something, say it. Say it clearly. Say it calmly. And then follow it with, but I'm willing to learn. That is the Stoic way. Not knowing is not the enemy. Pride is. And when you drop the need to impress, when you strip away the performance, what's left is real strength, the strength to stay humble. Because the person who always needs to be right will never grow. But the one who admits what they don't know, that person becomes unstoppable. So remember this, I don't know is not the end of the conversation. It's the beginning of wisdom. Say it without shame. Say it without fear. Because only the humble can ever become truly wise. Number 18. Let others chase pleasure. You chase alignment. Everyone around you is chasing something. Pleasure, excitement, comfort, more. They want to feel good all the time, to avoid pain, to stay distracted, to be entertained. And most of them will call that happiness. But the Stoic doesn't chase feelings. The Stoic chases alignment, not with the world's opinion, not with momentary emotions, but with virtue, with duty, with who they were meant to be. The world says, do what feels good. The Stoic says, do what's right. Because feelings pass, pleasure fades, but alignment lasts. It builds something inside you that can't be shaken. Epictetus said it clearly. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. Only the disciplined man is free. And that discipline of thought, of action, of purpose is what brings true peace. Not fake happiness, not cheap thrills, but harmony with your values, with your role, with the nature of things. You don't control everything. You don't always get what you want, but you can choose to live in a way that's coherent, a way that matches who you claim to be. That's alignment. Marcus Aurelius could have indulged in all the luxuries of being emperor, but he didn't. He lived simply. He worked quietly. He focused on service, not sensation. Because he knew that pleasure is fleeting, but integrity is lasting. Ask yourself, do you feel scattered, always pulled in different directions, always chasing the next thing to make you feel better? That's the cost of living by emotion. Now ask, what if you slowed down? What if you stopped chasing feeling good and started chasing being good? The Stoic doesn't numb themselves. They don't reject joy, but they're not controlled by it. They don't live for approval. They don't live for indulgence. They live to honor the self they are capable of becoming. That's the difference. So let others chase highs. Let them run from discomfort. Let them build lives around pleasure. You wake up and ask, what's right? You speak with honesty, even when it's hard. You choose discipline, even when it's boring. You align your actions with your beliefs, even when no one sees it. Because happiness is an accident, but alignment is a decision. And the more aligned you live, the quieter your mind becomes, the more steady your heart feels, the stronger your life stands, no matter what happens. So stop chasing what feels good. Start choosing what is good. Let others chase pleasure. You chase alignment. That's the Stoic path, and it never leads you wrong. Number 19. If it won't matter in death, it shouldn't matter in life. You get frustrated. You get offended. You stress over things not going your way. What someone said, what someone didn't say, how you look, what people think, that email, that delay, that mistake. You carry these things like they matter, like they define you, like they'll last forever. But the Stoics would ask you one simple question. Will this matter when you're dead? Because if it won't matter in death, then why are you letting it steal your peace now? This isn't about being cold. It's about perspective. Memento mori. Remember death. The Stoics didn't dwell on death to be dark or dramatic. They used it to cut through the noise, to filter out the trivial, to remind themselves that time is short, and most of what we stress over is meaningless in the big picture. Seneca said, "Let us prepare our minds as if we'd come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing. Let us balance life's books each day." In other words, practice dying daily, not in fear, but in focus. What would still matter if this were your last day? Who would still deserve your time? What problem would still be worth solving? Would you still care about the rude comment, the small failure, the likes, the gossip, the delay? Or would you drop it all and just live? Marcus Aurelius reminded himself often, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." That's not meant to scare you, it's meant to wake you up. Most people live like they have forever, so they waste time. They argue over nothing. They chase approval. They delay their dreams. They say, I'll do it later. But later is not promised. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. And once you truly accept that, life becomes lighter. You stop clinging to things that don't matter. You stop carrying burdens that aren't yours. You stop giving energy to things that won't matter 1 year from now, let alone on your deathbed. You start choosing peace over pride, presence over distraction, purpose over performance. When you practice death, you stop fearing it. And when you stop fearing death, you start living on purpose. This is how the Stoics found peace, not by controlling everything, but by realizing how little of it truly matters in the end. So the next time you feel stressed, ask yourself, will this matter when I die? If the answer is no, let it go. If the answer is yes, give it everything you've got. Because this life is short, and what truly matters, your character, your choices, your relationships, your virtue, that's where your energy belongs. The rest, leave it behind. If it won't matter in death, it shouldn't matter in life. So, live now, clearly, honestly, and without wasting another moment. Number 20. You are already enough to begin. Stop waiting. Stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting to be smarter, stronger, richer, more experienced. Stop telling yourself you need more confidence, more clarity, more time. That's not the Stoic way. That's delay dressed as logic. The Stoics never told you to wait until you became someone else. They told you to begin exactly as you are. Not because you're perfect, but because you already have everything you need. You were born with reason. You were born with the ability to choose. You were born with the power to act with virtue. Marcus Aurelius didn't wait to become a great leader before leading. He stepped into each day, each decision, each difficulty, grounded in this truth, that he could act now in alignment with his nature, and that would be enough. You can do the same. Epictetus was born a slave. He didn't say, "Once I'm free, then I'll live wisely." He started where he was. He used what he had. He didn't need the world to change. He changed his own mind. That's the Stoic mindset. You don't need to become some ideal version of yourself before you take action. You don't need to fix your past or figure out your entire future. You just need to return to who you really are beneath the doubt, the fear, the noise. And who is that? Someone capable of reason. Someone capable of choosing what's right. Someone capable of living with courage, discipline, justice, and wisdom. Today. The world will tell you to wait, to polish your image, to earn your worth. But the Stoics, they'd say, live now, act now, begin now. Because becoming begins with doing, not with waiting. So when your mind says, "I'm not ready," respond with, "Am I not human? Do I not have the same faculties as those who came before me? Can I not choose my next thought, my next word, my next move right now?" Of course you can. The truth is, the more you wait to feel enough, the further you drift from your power. The more you delay, the more you doubt. And the more you doubt, the more you hand over control to fear. But when you act, even imperfectly, you remember. You remember who you are. You remember what matters. You remember that everything you need was already within you. So don't ask for permission. Don't beg the world to tell you you're worthy. Just begin. And let your actions prove what your doubt tries to hide. You are already enough to begin. You don't need to be more. You just need to return to who you already are. Have you ever felt like someone's words or actions ruined your entire day? Maybe it was a rude comment, a thoughtless gesture, or even just an unexpected inconvenience. It's frustrating, isn't it? But here's the truth. No one has the power to control your emotions unless you let them. What if you could stay calm and unshaken no matter what life or anyone else throws your way? Imagine walking through your day with a sense of peace so strong that even the most irritating situations couldn't rattle you. That's not just wishful thinking, it's emotional mastery. In this episode, we're diving into 10 transformative lessons that will help you stop reacting impulsively, let go of anger, and regain control over your emotions. These lessons aren't about ignoring your feelings or pretending not to care. They're about building the mental strength to navigate life's challenges with grace and clarity. Whether it's dealing with criticism, setting boundaries, or learning to let go of grudges, you'll discover practical tools to protect your peace and live with confidence. By the end of this episode, you'll have the mindset and strategies you need to stay unbothered, even in the most difficult situations. So, if you're ready to unlock the secret to emotional freedom and live a life where no one else can control your mood, let's get started. Your journey to mastering your emotions begins now. 1. Understand that your reactions are your choice. Picture this. You're in the middle of a peaceful day, maybe sipping coffee or walking through the park, when suddenly someone says something rude or inconsiderate. Your calm vanishes, replaced by anger or frustration. You think, why did they ruin my day? But here's the truth. They didn't. You did. Your emotions are your responsibility, not theirs. No one has the power to control how you feel unless you hand that power to them. Think of it this way. The world can throw challenges at you, but only you decide how to react. Let me offer a fresh perspective. Imagine you're wearing noise-cancelling headphones in a busy city. The chaos of honking cars and loud conversations doesn't disappear. It's still there. But it doesn't reach you. Mastering your reactions works the same way. You don't have to let the noise of other people's behavior invade your peace. A wise thought captures this beautifully. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. When someone cuts you off in traffic or criticizes your work unfairly, it's easy to blame them for your anger. But what if, instead of reacting, you paused? In that pause, you find power. The power to choose calm over chaos, strength over impulsiveness. Here's a real-world example. Imagine your coworker dismisses your idea during a meeting. Instead of snapping back or stewing in resentment all day, take a moment to breathe and reflect. Is this about me, or is it their own stress or bias showing? By reframing the situation, you neutralize its impact on your emotions. The beauty of this approach is that it's not about suppressing how you feel, it's about recognizing that your feelings are separate from your reactions. Anger, frustration, and disappointment are natural, but they don't have to dictate what you do next. Here's a simple strategy to start practicing this mindset. Pause and identify when you feel triggered. Pause and name the emotion you're experiencing. Anger, hurt, irritation. This breaks the automatic reaction cycle. Ask questions. Reflect on why you're feeling this way. Is it because of what happened or your interpretation of it? Choose your response. Decide how you want to act based on your values and long-term peace, not the heat of the moment. Imagine the freedom of walking through life unbothered by others' actions, the rude stranger, the thoughtless remark, the minor inconvenience. All of them lose their grip on you when you take control of your reactions. In every moment, you have a choice. You can let others dictate your emotions, or you can reclaim your power and protect your peace. The next time someone tries to push your buttons, remember, their behavior doesn't define you. Your reaction does, and in choosing calm, you gain not just emotional mastery, but true freedom. 2. Stop expecting people to behave like you. Have you ever been disappointed by someone who, when you find yourself in need, is nowhere to be found? Disappointment washes over you, and you think, how could they be so inconsiderate? I would never treat them this way. Here's the hard truth. People don't operate by your standards or values. They act based on their own. Expecting others to think, behave, or respond the way you would is like trying to control the weather. It's impossible and only leads to frustration. Think of it this way. Each person is walking their own path, shaped by their experiences, beliefs, and priorities. When someone does something that annoys or hurts you, it's often not a reflection of you, it's a reflection of them. Trying to change or control their behavior only leaves you feeling powerless. Instead of focusing on how others should act, focus on accepting them as they are. Let me give you an example. Imagine a coworker who constantly interrupts during meetings. Instead of seething with frustration or trying to teach them a lesson, recognize that their habit has nothing to do with you. By letting go of the expectation that they'll change, you free yourself from unnecessary emotional turmoil. A wise thought sums this up perfectly. Expectations are the root of all suffering. The less you expect others to behave in a certain way, the more you protect your peace. Here's a practical exercise to help you let go of these expectations. Acknowledge your assumptions. When someone upsets you, ask yourself, what was I expecting them to do? Challenge that expectation. Reflect on whether it's realistic to expect someone else to act exactly as you would. Shift your focus. Instead of trying to control their behavior, focus on how you can respond calmly and maintain your peace. Think about how liberating this mindset is. The rude stranger, the forgetful friend, the inconsiderate coworker, none of them have the power to disrupt your emotions unless you let them. When you stop expecting others to meet your standards, you take back control of your reactions. In the end, people are who they are, not who you want them to be. Accepting this truth doesn't mean tolerating bad behavior or abandoning your values. It means recognizing that your peace is too valuable to sacrifice for something you can't control. The next time someone disappoints or frustrates you, pause and remind yourself, they're acting from their nature, not mine. And that's okay, because I choose my response. By releasing those expectations, you gain freedom, not just from others' actions, but from the emotional weight they once carried. Think about the last time you got into an argument. Maybe it was over something trivial, like which route was faster, or something deeper, like a disagreement with a close friend or partner. As the conversation heated up, did you feel that strong urge to prove your point, to show them you were right? We've all been there, clinging to our version of the truth like it's a lifeline. But here's the thing, that need to always be right is exhausting and unnecessary. The need to win every argument or prove your perspective often stems from insecurity. It's as if being wrong threatens our worth or identity. But what if you could let go of that need entirely? What if you could approach disagreements with curiosity instead of defensiveness? A powerful thought to keep in mind is this: would you rather be right, or would you rather be at peace? Often, our insistence on being right creates tension, damages relationships, and fuels our frustration. On the other hand, letting go of the need to prove yourself allows you to preserve your peace and approach conflicts with understanding. Imagine someone accuses you of something unfair. Your instinct might be to defend yourself, to argue your case, or to point out their flaws in return. But what if you paused and asked yourself, is it worth my energy to prove them wrong? Will this argument change anything important in my life? In most cases, the answer is no. Here's an example. A friend might insist that their way of handling a problem is better than yours. Instead of diving into a debate, you could say, I see where you're coming from, and I respect your perspective. By doing this, you not only diffuse the tension, but also maintain your calm and avoid unnecessary conflict. The Taoist philosopher Lao offers timeless wisdom. He who is attached to his views will never grow. Letting go of the need to be right doesn't mean abandoning your principles or silencing your voice. It means recognizing that not every disagreement needs a resolution in your favor. It's about choosing when to engage and when to step back. Pause before responding. When you feel the urge to argue, take a deep breath and reflect on whether it's worth your energy. Seek understanding. Instead of trying to win, ask questions to understand the other person's perspective. This approach often de-escalates conflict. Pick your battles. Save your energy for disagreements that truly matter, ones that align with your values or affect significant outcomes. Over time, you'll find that letting go of the need to always be right brings immense freedom. You'll start noticing how much lighter and calmer you feel when you stop trying to control every conversation or prove every point. Arguments lose their grip on your emotions because you've chosen peace over pride. Remember, your value isn't tied to winning debates or proving your intelligence. It's in how you carry yourself, how you protect your energy, and how you maintain your inner peace. The next time you're tempted to argue, pause and remind yourself, being right won't make me happy, but being calm will. And in that moment, you'll experience the true power of letting go. Imagine this. You're excitedly sharing an idea, something you're truly passionate about, and someone interrupts with a dismissive comment. Their words cut deep, and suddenly, the confidence you felt disappears. Why does this happen? It's because we often let others' words define how we see ourselves. Here's the truth. Your worth isn't determined by someone else's opinion. It's not tied to their compliments, criticisms, or judgments. When you rely on others to validate you, you hand them the power to control your emotions. True emotional freedom comes when you take that power back. Let's consider an example. A colleague criticizes your work, not constructively, but in a way that feels harsh or personal. Your instinct might be to defend yourself or feel disheartened. But what if, instead of reacting, you paused and reminded yourself, their words reflect their perspective, not my value. By detaching your worth from their opinion, you protect your peace and maintain your focus. Marcus Aurelius captured this wisdom perfectly. It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinions than our own. This isn't about ignoring feedback or dismissing others entirely. It's about filtering what truly matters. Constructive criticism can help you grow, but unwarranted negativity doesn't deserve space in your mind. Pause before reacting. When someone's words sting, take a moment to breathe. This pause gives you the chance to choose your response instead of reacting impulsively. Separate fact from opinion. Ask yourself, Is there truth in what they're saying, or is it just their perspective? Focus on what helps you grow and let the rest go. Reaffirm your worth. Remind yourself that your value isn't tied to anyone else's approval. Your worth is intrinsic, independent of external validation. Lao offers another layer of wisdom. Care about what other people think, and you will always be their prisoner. Letting go of the need for validation doesn't mean you stop caring about people. It means you stop caring about opinions that don't serve your growth. By doing so, you free yourself from unnecessary emotional weight. The next time someone's words challenge your confidence, pause and ask yourself, am I letting this define me, or can I choose to focus on what I know to be true about myself? In that moment, you reclaim your power and remind yourself that no one's words can diminish your value unless you let them. True strength lies not in avoiding criticism, but in knowing your worth regardless of it. When you stop letting others' words define you, you create space for authenticity, confidence, and peace. And that's a life no one can take from you. 5. Protect your energy by setting boundaries. Picture this. A friend calls you in the middle of your busy day, asking for help with something they could probably handle on their own. Or perhaps a co-worker dumps a last-minute task on you, assuming you'll say yes. You feel the weight of obligation, but also the frustration of knowing this will disrupt your plans. Why is it so hard to say no? Here's the truth. Protecting your peace requires setting boundaries. And boundaries aren't selfish, they're necessary. Without them, you let others dictate your time, energy, and emotional well-being. Saying yes to everyone else often means saying no to yourself. A powerful reminder comes to mind. You can't pour from an empty cup. If you're constantly giving without protecting your energy, you'll find yourself burned out, resentful, and disconnected from your own needs. Boundaries are how you safeguard your emotional freedom while maintaining healthy relationships. Think about this. When someone oversteps your boundaries, it's not their fault. It's yours for not clearly defining and upholding them. People aren't mind readers, and unless you communicate what you're okay with, they'll continue to push, often unintentionally. Setting boundaries is a form of self-respect, and it also teaches others to respect you. Here's an example. Imagine you're always the person friends come to for advice, even late at night. You want to be supportive, but it's draining your energy. Instead of silently resenting them, you could say something like, I care about you, but I need to keep evenings for myself to recharge. Let's talk tomorrow instead. This approach is firm yet kind, and it protects your peace without damaging the relationship. Epictetus reminds us, freedom is the ability to live as we wish. Living freely doesn't mean ignoring others' needs. It means deciding where your energy is best spent. Boundaries let you choose your priorities and ensure you're not giving more than you can handle. Here's how to start setting boundaries effectively. Be clear and honest. Communicate your limits calmly and directly. People are more likely to respect boundaries when they understand them. Use I statements. Focus on your needs rather than blaming others. For example, say, I need some quiet time after work, instead of, you're always bothering me. Stick to your boundaries. Once you set a limit, uphold it. Consistency shows others that you're serious about protecting your space. Lao offers another perspective. He who knows when to stop does not find himself in trouble. This wisdom reminds us that knowing your limits and respecting them prevents unnecessary stress and frustration. Boundaries aren't walls to shut people out. They're bridges to healthier, more balanced relationships. The next time you feel overwhelmed or taken for granted, pause and ask yourself, have I communicated my needs clearly? Am I honoring my own boundaries? By setting limits, you free yourself from unnecessary obligations and reclaim your energy for what truly matters. Remember, you're not responsible for managing everyone else's feelings or fixing their problems. Your primary responsibility is to yourself, your peace, your time, and your emotional well-being. So protect your energy, set your boundaries, and watch how much lighter and more in control you feel. Because when you prioritize yourself, you give the best version of yourself to the world. 6. Detach from the opinions of others. Imagine this. You share an idea you're proud of with a group of people, but instead of support, you're met with criticism or indifference. That sting of disappointment is real, and it can spiral into self-doubt. But here's a question to ask yourself. Why does their opinion carry so much weight? The need for approval is deeply ingrained in us. But relying on external validation is like chasing shadows. You'll never truly catch it. Emotional freedom begins when you stop letting the opinions of others define your worth. Think of it this way. Everyone views the world through their own lens, shaped by their experiences, biases, and insecurities. What someone says about you often reveals more about them than it does about you. When you internalize their opinions, you give them power over your emotions and decisions. Why let someone else control your narrative? A simple yet powerful thought to remember. Your worth isn't up for debate. It's not tied to what others think of you, whether it's praise or criticism. It's something intrinsic, unshaken by external noise. Let's consider a practical example. Imagine you're wearing a brand new outfit you love, and a coworker makes a passing remark. That's an interesting choice. You could let their comment ruin your confidence, or you could remind yourself that their opinion doesn't diminish your joy. When you detach from the need for approval, you free yourself to live authentically. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." This might sound harsh, but it's liberating. Growth often involves going against the grain or doing things others might not understand. Seeking approval can hold you back, while embracing your own path, even if misunderstood, sets you free. Here's how to start detaching from the opinions of others. Question their importance. When someone's opinion bothers you, ask yourself, why does this matter to me? What authority do they have over my life? Reaffirm your values. Focus on what matters to you, not what others expect. Ground yourself in your goals and principles. Practice letting go. When criticism or judgment arises, acknowledge it without clinging to it. Picture their words as leaves floating down a stream, there, but not lasting. Lao offers another perspective. Care about people's approval, and you will be their prisoner. This doesn't mean ignoring feedback or isolating yourself from others. It means filtering out what doesn't serve you. Constructive criticism can help you grow, but unwarranted judgment, that's theirs to carry, not yours. Think of detaching from opinions like shielding yourself from bad weather. The rain may fall, but it doesn't have to soak you. By focusing on your own inner compass, you remain grounded no matter how others perceive you. The next time someone's words shake your confidence, pause and ask yourself, am I living for them or for me? By choosing to detach, you reclaim your freedom, protect your peace, and build a life that's authentically yours. Remember, your path is yours alone, and it's far too important to be swayed by fleeting opinions. Respond with silence, not anger. Imagine this. You're in a heated argument. Someone says something hurtful or intentionally provocative, and you feel the anger rising. Your heart pounds, your face heats up, and your instinct is to fire back with a cutting remark. But what if instead of reacting, you simply say nothing? Silence is one of the most powerful tools you have when dealing with others' negativity. It's not about conceding or avoiding confrontation, it's about choosing calm over chaos. Responding with silence doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're strong enough to value your peace over the need to retaliate. There's wisdom in this. The less you respond to negativity, the more peaceful your life becomes. Silence speaks volumes. It says, "I won't let your behavior control me." Let's take an example. Imagine someone at work undermines you during a meeting, trying to make you look bad in front of others. You have two choices: engage in a back-and-forth argument or pause and respond with silence. By staying silent, you deny them the reaction they seek and maintain your composure, showing everyone around you who truly holds the higher ground. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius said, "The best answer to anger is silence. Anger often seeks fuel to keep burning, and silence starves it. When you choose not to engage, you break the cycle of negativity and protect your emotional well-being." Think of silence as a shield. It deflects the noise without pulling you into the fight. Here's how to make silence your go-to response in moments of provocation. Pause before reacting. When someone says something provocative, take a moment to breathe. Silence creates space for clarity. Listen without defending. Sometimes people just want to vent or be heard. Let them speak without interrupting or feeling the need to explain yourself. Speak only when necessary. If a response is required, keep it calm, measured, and to the point. A Buddhist teaching reminds us, speak only if it improves upon the silence. This doesn't mean you suppress your feelings. It means you choose when and how to express them. Silence doesn't ignore the problem. It preserves your energy for moments where your voice truly matters. Think about how often we regret words said in anger. Silence removes that regret. It allows you to reflect, reassess, and respond thoughtfully rather than impulsively. And often, silence says more than words ever could. The next time someone tries to provoke you, pause and ask yourself, will responding add value, or will it simply escalate the situation? By choosing silence, you protect your peace, demonstrate strength, and keep control of the narrative. Remember, silence isn't the absence of a response, it's the presence of wisdom. It's the ability to rise above the noise and say, "Your words don't control me, my peace does." And that's how you win the battle without ever raising your voice. Practice gratitude. Imagine you're having one of those days where everything seems to go wrong. Your plans fall apart, someone makes a rude comment, and the smallest inconveniences feel unbearable. Anger starts bubbling up and you think, why does everything have to be so difficult? Now pause. What if, instead of focusing on everything going wrong, you shifted your attention to what's going right? Gratitude has a way of turning anger into calm and reframing even the worst moments into opportunities for perspective and peace. Here's a powerful truth. You can't feel grateful and angry at the same time. Gratitude works like a mental reset button. It pulls you out of the spiral of negativity and reminds you of the good that still exists, even in frustrating situations. Take a simple example. You're stuck in traffic, running late to an important appointment. Instead of fuming at the cars ahead, try this. Take a deep breath and think of 3 things you're thankful for. Maybe it's the fact that you have a car, the opportunity you're headed toward, or even just the music playing on the radio. It might sound small, but this shift can transform your emotional state almost instantly. The philosopher Cicero said, "Gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all others." Gratitude doesn't just dissolve anger, it builds resilience, fosters patience, and helps you focus on what truly matters. It's a tool you can use anytime, anywhere, to protect your peace. Here's how to make gratitude a daily habit. Pause and reflect. When anger starts to rise, take a moment to breathe and ask yourself, what's one thing I can be thankful for right now? Keep a gratitude journal. At the end of each day, write down 3 things that went well, no matter how small they seem. This trains your mind to look for the positive. Use gratitude as a reframe. When faced with a challenge, think about what you can learn or how the situation could be worse. Gratitude often comes from recognizing what you still have. For example, let's say someone criticizes you harshly. Instead of letting anger take over, try reframing it. I'm grateful for the chance to learn from this feedback, even if it wasn't delivered kindly. This doesn't excuse the other person's behavior, but it keeps you in control of your emotions. The Buddha reminds us, let us rise up and be thankful, for if we didn't learn a lot today, at least we learned a little. And if we didn't learn a little, at least we didn't get sick. And if we got sick, at least we didn't die. So let us all be thankful. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's lacking to what's present. It's not about denying frustration or anger. It's about choosing to prioritize what uplifts you over what drags you down. The next time you feel anger creeping in, pause and ask yourself, what can I be thankful for in this moment? You'll find that gratitude doesn't just dissolve the anger, it replaces it with calm, clarity, and a sense of control. And in those moments, you'll realize that peace isn't something you find, it's something you create. Reframe. Criticism as a tool for growth. Imagine this. You've just shared an idea you're proud of, maybe at work with friends or online, and someone immediately shoots it down with harsh criticism. Your first instinct? Defensiveness, maybe even anger. It's natural to feel this way when your efforts are met with negativity. But what if you could reframe criticism, seeing it not as an attack, but as an opportunity to grow? Criticism, no matter how it's delivered, holds value if you're willing to look for it. It can show you blind spots, challenge your thinking, or push you to improve. When you shift your perspective, criticism stops being a source of frustration and becomes a tool for self-betterment. Here's an example. Imagine you're preparing a presentation and a colleague points out several flaws in your work. You could dismiss them, thinking, they're just trying to undermine me, or you could pause and reflect. Is there truth in what they're saying? How can I use this feedback to improve? By choosing the second approach, you turn what might feel like an attack into a stepping stone. A wise thought captures this perfectly. Criticism, like rain, should be gentle enough to nourish growth without destroying roots. This doesn't mean all criticism is valid or worth your attention. Some people criticize out of envy, ignorance, or malice. The key is to filter what you hear, keeping what's constructive and discarding what's not. Here's how to handle criticism with grace. Pause before reacting. When faced with criticism, take a moment to breathe. This helps you avoid reacting emotionally. Evaluate the source. Consider who's giving the feedback. Do they have your best interests in mind? Is their perspective informed? Find the lesson. Even poorly delivered criticism can carry a valuable insight. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Let's take a more personal example. Imagine a family member makes a critical remark about your choices, like your career or lifestyle. Instead of arguing or shutting down, you could say, "I hear your concerns. I'll think about what you've said." This response shows maturity and gives you the chance to reflect later without escalating the conflict. Epictetus offers a timeless reminder. If anyone tells you that a certain person speaks ill of you, do not make excuses about what is said of you, but answer, "He does not know my other faults, else he would not have mentioned only these." This Stoic wisdom reminds us not to take criticism too personally. Instead, see it as part of the journey towards self-improvement. The next time someone critiques you, ask yourself, what can I learn from this feedback? Is this criticism about me, or does it reflect more about them? How can I grow from this moment? Lao Tzu reminds us, knowing others is intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. Criticism, when approached with the right mindset, is a mirror that helps you understand yourself better. It's not always comfortable, but growth rarely is. By welcoming feedback, even when it stings, you develop resilience, humility, and a stronger sense of self. So the next time criticism comes your way, pause and reframe it. See it not as an obstacle, but as a stepping stone toward becoming your best self. Remember, growth often hides in discomfort, and those who embrace it unlock a level of strength that no criticism can shake. Master the art of letting go. Imagine holding on to a hot coal, determined to throw it at someone who hurt you. But while you're waiting for the right moment, the coal keeps burning your hand. Anger, grudges, and resentment work the same way. They harm you far more than the person who caused your pain. The real strength lies not in holding on, but in letting go. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting or condoning what happened. It means releasing the emotional weight that drags you down, freeing yourself from the control of the past. When you let go, you reclaim your energy, your peace, and your ability to focus on the present. The Buddha puts it beautifully. Holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Think about a time when someone wronged you. Maybe it was a betrayal, an unfair judgment, or an unkind word. How much time did you spend replaying that moment in your mind? How much energy did you waste imagining confrontations or seeking revenge? Letting go is the antidote to this endless cycle. It allows you to move forward instead of staying trapped in the past. Here's an example. Imagine you're at work and a colleague takes credit for your idea. You could spend days stewing over the injustice, letting it affect your mood and productivity. Or you could let it go, recognizing that your worth isn't tied to one moment of recognition. By choosing the latter, you protect your peace and focus on what truly matters, your growth and future opportunities. Lao Tzu offers profound wisdom. When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. Letting go isn't just about releasing anger or resentment. It's also about letting go of perfectionism, fear of failure, or the need for control. It's about embracing life as it is, with all its unpredictability, and finding freedom in acceptance. Here's how to start practicing the art of letting go. Acknowledge your feelings. Suppressing emotions only makes them stronger. Allow yourself to feel hurt, anger, or disappointment without judgment. Reframe the situation. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this experience? How can I grow stronger because of it? Focus on the present. Letting go is a choice you make for yourself, not for the other person. Shift your attention to the here and now, where your power lies. Think of letting go like releasing a balloon. The longer you hold on to it, the more it strains your hand. But when you let it float away, you feel lighter and freer. Life becomes less about what happened and more about what's possible. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "Do not be disturbed by what is outside your power. Let it go, and you will find peace." This doesn't mean letting people walk over you or ignoring injustice. It means choosing where to direct your energy. By letting go of what you can't change, you create space for what you can, a brighter, calmer, and more fulfilling life. So the next time you find yourself clinging to anger or regret, pause and ask yourself, is this worth my peace? What would my life look like if I let this go? The answer will guide you toward emotional freedom, because true strength isn't in holding on, it's in knowing when to release. And when you do, you'll discover that the lighter you feel, the stronger you become. And there you have it, 10 powerful lessons to help you master your emotions and stay unbothered no matter what life throws your way. These aren't just ideas, they're tools you can use every day to protect your peace, build resilience, and take control of your reactions. Remember, the goal isn't to suppress your feelings or become indifferent. It's to respond to life's challenges with clarity and strength. Emotional mastery isn't about what happens to you, it's about how you choose to react. The power to stay calm, centered, and free lies entirely in your hands. As you move forward, take these lessons with you. Practice pausing before you react. Set boundaries that protect your energy, and let go of the things and people you can't control. Each time you choose peace over anger, you take one step closer to living the unshakable life you deserve. If you found value in this episode, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who might need a little extra calm in their life. And if you have your own tips or experiences about staying unbothered, I'd love to hear them. Drop a comment below. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Remember, emotional freedom isn't a destination. It's a practice. So keep showing up for yourself, stay mindful, and keep growing stronger every day. Until next time, take care and stay unbothered. Have you ever experienced the feeling of being constantly overlooked, even when you put forth your best effort? Have you ever wondered why some people seem to effortlessly attract attention, while others silently struggle to be noticed? Today, we are going to explore 9 powerful psychological strategies, all rooted in Stoic teachings that, once understood and applied, can elevate your influence and help you become a priority in any situation. If this is your first time on my channel, I ask for your support by subscribing and liking this video, as it helps me continue to create more content like this in the future. Among these strategies, there is one that stands out for its subtle yet profound impact, a tool that you may have unknowingly used yourself. Through the lens of Stoic philosophy, you will not only gain a deeper understanding of human psychology, but also learn how to transform the dynamics in your encounters, even in ordinary everyday situations. I encourage you to stay with me until the end of this journey, because each strategy, each piece of this puzzle, complements the next. If you miss any of these elements, you risk missing the complete picture that they form together. If you share my passion for personal growth, please take a moment to click on the notification bell and subscribe. This commitment is essential, as the strategies we discuss here should be seen as tools to understand human behavior and navigate the complexities of social interactions in an ethical manner. These techniques aim to increase influence and awareness, allowing you not only to comprehend the subtleties of the human mind, but also to use that understanding to guide your actions and shape your relationships with others. Now, are you ready to uncover what has been hidden in plain sight? Together, let's decipher the secrets and strategies that have been operating in the shadows, waiting to be illuminated by the power of understanding. The first strategy centers on mastering emotions. Every individual, regardless of age or background, is influenced by emotions to some extent. They shape our actions, reactions, and interactions. However, few people have truly learned to master the art of understanding and subtly influencing emotions, not just within themselves, but also in others. This mastery, once attained, can position you as an essential figure in any social setting. It's well known that people are naturally drawn to stability, particularly emotional stability. And Stoicism teaches us the value of remaining calm, composed, and rational in situations where others might falter. When you demonstrate the ability to stay steady in the face of adversity, you instantly stand out, like an anchor in a stormy sea. Others will naturally seek your guidance, placing you on a pedestal. However, remember that this is not about suppressing emotions, but about understanding and channeling them effectively. As Epictetus once said, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." This is the essence of this strategy. By demonstrating control over your reactions, you inspire trust and confidence in others. You also gain the ability to subtly guide the emotions of those around you. If your calm words can soothe someone's anger, or if your empathetic sadness brings comfort to someone in pain, you become a lighthouse, drawing others to you. But this power is not a mere game. It is a responsibility that must be handled with care. There is a deeper level to this beyond simply radiating calmness. To truly excel, you must learn to read the emotional currents of any room, recognize unspoken feelings and respond to them. When you do this, you'll see how people become more receptive to you, not because you are manipulating them, but because you are genuinely understanding and connecting with their true essence. Now, with this understanding of emotions in your grasp, only one more strategy remains. Can you guess what it is? You might have been using it without even realizing it. The power of disengagement, or the ability to walk away when necessary. There is a subtle force in the act of moving away from a situation when it calls for it. This is not a sign of cowardice or indifference. It is a demonstration of self-worth and recognition of your own value. When you trust in your worth, stepping away from a situation becomes a choice, not a reaction. Many people associate attachment with care and commitment, but attachment can easily become a chain that keeps you bound to situations and people who do not appreciate you. Always being available, always giving, can diminish the value of what you offer. Others may begin to take your presence and contributions for granted. When this happens, the balance is disrupted and you risk becoming undervalued. It is not about playing hard to get, but about making yourself unforgettable. As Seneca once said, "It is not the man who has little, but he who yearns for more, who is truly poor." The willingness to step away from a situation is embracing the essence of this wisdom. It involves recognizing that there is power in self-respect and autonomy. When people sense that you are not bound by need or desperation, they start seeing you differently. They begin to understand that your time, your skills, or even your company is a privilege and not something they are entitled to. By mastering this strategy, you show the world that your presence is a gift, one that can be taken away at any moment. Paradoxically, By demonstrating that you can walk away, many will now desire you, seeing in that strength something rare. In a world where holding on is the norm, your detachment becomes your crown. Applying these strategies brings a host of benefits. When implemented correctly, they can elevate your influence, strengthen your relationships, and place you in a position where people not only prioritize you, but also genuinely value your company. However, it is important to be cautious. As Stoics, these tactics should serve as tools for influence when necessary, not as mechanisms for manipulation or attention-seeking. Authenticity and integrity are crucial in using these strategies. Without these, not only would the approach be ethically questionable, but it could also be counterproductive in the long run. Now let's consider the principle of reciprocity. Think about the last time a small gesture brightened your day, a surprise coffee from a colleague, a kind word from a friend, or an unexpected compliment. These seemingly trivial actions often leave a lasting impression because they touch on a powerful force in our human nature: reciprocity. This is the internal impulse that drives us to give back when someone shows us kindness beyond what is expected. Recognizing and harnessing this force can transform the way people perceive you and how they relate to you. As the philosopher Seneca once said, "While we teach, we learn." This perfectly captures the essence of reciprocity. By offering value, ideas, or even small favors without expecting anything in return, you sow seeds of goodwill. Over time, these seeds grow into relationships where people are inclined to support you, help you, and prioritize your needs. They may not even fully understand why they feel compelled to reciprocate, but there is an invisible bond created by genuine generosity. However, this strategy must be handled carefully. There is a fine line between genuine acts of kindness and manipulation. The key is sincerity. When you offer help or share knowledge selflessly, people will recognize your authenticity. When they sense that your intentions are genuine, the ties of reciprocity become stronger. On the other hand, if they detect hidden motives, trust is eroded and the connection will fade. As you reflect on this principle, be ready for the next strategy, which invites you to look inward, a place that is often overlooked but immensely powerful. Mastering persuasive storytelling is a strategy that many overlook. Have you ever struggled to express your point of view and wondered why some ideas stick in people's minds while others fade into obscurity despite their merit? The answer may be simpler than you think: storytelling. Before technology, before modern education, and even before written language, there was storytelling. From ancient bonfires to today's viral videos, stories have been the unseen force that shapes opinions, drives actions, and changes minds. Epicurus wisely pointed out that men are disturbed not by the things that happen to them, but by the way they perceive them. It all comes down to perception. When you frame your message within a story, you offer a lens through which others can interpret the situation, guiding their thoughts and reactions. The beauty of storytelling lies in its ability to make listeners feel as though they are part of the narrative. This evokes empathy and makes your perspective resonate on a personal level. For example, if you're trying to persuade a team to take on a challenging project, instead of listing facts and figures, you could tell a story about how pioneers faced similar obstacles and emerged victorious. By drawing parallels between their struggles and the current task, you show that while the road ahead may be difficult, the rewards, both tangible and intangible, are worth the effort. Suddenly, the project is no longer just another task. It becomes a noble pursuit, And who doesn't want to be the hero in their own story? However, the power of storytelling must be wielded with authenticity. People can tell when a narrative is contrived or when it's simply designed to manipulate. The goal is to find real, genuine connections and emotions. When authenticity is combined with the art of storytelling, it creates an unbeatable combination that ensures your voice is not just heard, but also remembered. But stories are just one piece of the puzzle. Our next strategy explores a principle so deeply embedded in human nature that it can open doors once thought closed. Now, let's discuss the importance of prioritizing yourself. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to command a room without saying a word? Their mere presence demands respect. This magnetism doesn't come from external factors, but from an internal belief in their own value. The cornerstone of influential power lies not in seeking validation from others, but in recognizing your own intrinsic worth. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not external events." Understanding this concept is the key to unlocking your inner strength. When you recognize and nurture your self-worth, you naturally project an aura of self-confidence. This is not about arrogance or an inflated ego, but a genuine appreciation for who you are, your strengths, and your potential. When you value and prioritize yourself, the world begins to reflect that feeling back to you. Self-confidence is not about being arrogant or having an inflated sense of ego. Rather, it is about genuinely valuing and appreciating oneself, recognizing one's strengths, potential, and worth. When you prioritize yourself and understand your inherent value, the world begins to reflect that inner belief. This self-assurance is not about being self-centered or dismissing others, but about achieving balance. Just like the principle of reciprocity, which thrives on genuine gestures of goodwill, true self-love emerges from sincere introspection and self-respect. By investing time and energy in your own well-being, whether through learning, self-care, or setting boundaries, you signal to the world that you are worth this investment. This, in turn, influences how those around you perceive and prioritize you. Prioritizing yourself, therefore, becomes a foundational pillar of power. While influence is a significant part of it, it is only a small piece of the broader psychological strategies at play. As we move forward, another technique that can help you master the emotional fluctuations of relationships comes into focus: transforming adversaries into allies. In a world filled with noise and constant attempts to be heard, the simple, powerful act of truly listening stands out. Every individual, regardless of their background or situation, has a deep need to be understood. In a noisy world, offering someone your undivided attention is not only an act of kindness, but a powerful strategy that differentiates you from others. As the ancient philosopher Epicurus wisely observed, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we should listen twice as much as we speak." This maxim captures the essence of active listening. Many people simply wait for their turn to speak, but a skilled listener goes deeper, engaging with the words, emotions, and hidden intentions behind the speaker's message. By adopting this practice, you become a beacon of trust and respect in a sea of distractions. Offering a safe space for people to express themselves freely not only helps you understand their thoughts and desires, but also fosters an authentic connection. This connection positions you as someone others turn to for guidance and support, which, in turn, gives you significant influence over their lives. Listening authentically ensures that you are not just heard, but that your presence is valued and you are more often prioritized. Creating a sense of scarcity is another potent strategy rooted in human nature. Scarcity taps into an age-old instinct, the attraction to what is rare, elusive, and hard to attain. Just as a rare gem is more valuable than a common stone, people and experiences that are perceived as scarce are often held in higher regard. This doesn't mean playing games or being deceptive. Rather, it is about understanding the intrinsic human appeal of the uncommon. Imagine being in a meeting where everyone is eager to speak and be noticed, and then someone enters, makes a brief yet significant impression, and leaves soon after. The memory of this person lingers in people's minds, far more than the ones who stayed for the entire duration. By not being constantly available, you create an aura of importance around your presence. Every interaction becomes a valuable exchange, a moment that people will remember. Marcus Aurelius once remarked that, "Very little is needed for a happy life. It is all within you, in the way you think." This perspective embodies the concept of scarcity. When you recognize and value your own time, others are more likely to do the same. However, the key is balance. Being too scarce can backfire, just as being too available diminishes your value. The optimal approach is to be present when it counts, making those moments meaningful, and then retreating to focus on your own goals and well-being. Cultivating an air of mystery is another powerful tool in your arsenal. Human beings are naturally drawn to what is unknown, mysterious, and enigmatic. This universal curiosity can be transformed into an asset when you learn to maintain an element of mystery about yourself. It's not about being distant or aloof, but about strategically choosing what to reveal and when. There is a delicate balance between being engaging enough to capture others' attention and preserving just enough intrigue to keep them curious. Marcus Aurelius wisely noted that the goal of life is not to conform to the majority, but to avoid being among the foolish. In a world where oversharing is the norm, embracing a more reserved approach can help you stand out. People will pay attention when you speak and value your opinions more deeply. However, maintaining a sense of mystery does not imply dishonesty or manipulation. Authenticity remains key. It's not about fabricating stories, but rather about mastering the art of timing, revealing just enough to keep others intrigued without oversharing. As others become more curious about you, they naturally begin to prioritize your presence and ideas. This approach isn't just about surprising people, it's about recognizing the subtleties in human actions and strategically using them for your benefit. In essence, cultivating an air of mystery allows you to rise above the noise, becoming an intriguing enigma to those around you. When this strategy is combined with true authenticity, it elevates you to a place where you are not merely noticed, but truly valued. By making others look forward to your actions, you ensure that your presence leaves a lasting impact, and your influence endures long after you have departed from a room. Another effective strategy involves the use of strategic silence. You've likely been in a situation, whether it was a heated debate, a tough negotiation, or even a casual conversation, where the urge to speak up seems overwhelming. Yet sometimes, the most powerful tool you can wield is the choice to remain silent. While silence may be viewed as passive, it can actually be an active force that helps steer the conversation, assert your presence, and command genuine respect. Many people mistakenly believe that power is found in dominating the conversation, but it is often the observer, the one who carefully considers each word and listens attentively, who truly influences the course of events. It's not about being the loudest or the most attention-grabbing. Think of the power of a pause. When you hold back, leaving a gap in the conversation, others begin to feel uneasy or anxious, scrambling to fill the silence. In that moment, they often reveal more than they intended. This gives you the opportunity to respond from a place of wisdom and clarity, as the philosopher Epictetus wisely noted. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. By practicing restraint in your speech, you position yourself as the orchestrator of the dialogue, directing it with precision. However, strategic silence isn't just about listening. It's about knowing when to speak and how to harness the power of your words. Each word you utter carries weight, and you must choose carefully when to speak and when to remain silent, ensuring your words have maximum impact. Words are more than just tools of communication. They have the power to shape perceptions and even alter realities. That said, using silence as a tool requires skill and balance. If you use it too often, it can come across as distant or disengaged. The key is to strike the right balance between active listening and moments of silence, making sure your interactions remain authentic and meaningful. Now, imagine the immense possibilities when you combine strategic silence with another powerful strategy, one that guarantees you won't just be seen, but remembered. By combining these tactics thoughtfully, you position yourself as someone who has both influence and staying power. If you found this video insightful, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Your support lets YouTube know that these kinds of videos are helping people like you, allowing us to create more content like this in the future. Have you ever experienced being ghosted? You thought everything was going smoothly, and then out of nowhere she vanishes. No messages, no explanations, leaving you confused and wondering what went wrong. Or maybe she's inconsistent with her attention. One day, she's incredibly affectionate, and the next, she's completely distant. It drives you crazy, doesn't it? Let's get brutally honest here. Many women play emotional games, and if you can't recognize those games or figure out how to respond to them, you'll find yourself stuck in a cycle of frustration, confusion, and emotional pain. But here's the truth. It's not your fault these games exist. However, it is your responsibility to learn how to navigate them. What I'm going to share with you today are 10 powerful, foolproof strategies to help you stay one step ahead when dealing with women who toy with your heart. And no, this isn't about manipulating anyone. This is about mastering yourself through the ancient wisdom of Stoicism. It's about becoming the calm in the chaos, the grounded, unshakable man who cannot be emotionally controlled. So prepare yourself, because what we're about to dive into has the potential to transform the way you approach relationships forever. Before we jump into those 10 Stoic strategies, let's be clear on one important thing. Why do women engage in these emotional games in the first place? Why do they suddenly go silent, lead you on with little bits of affection, or keep you stuck in a state of emotional uncertainty? The answer is simple. They're testing your emotional resilience. They want to know if they can sway you, manipulate your emotions, and cause you to question yourself. And once they see that they can, the game is over. You've lost. You'll lose their respect, and instead of being the one in control, you'll be the one chasing their validation. Here's the good news. You don't have to play their game. Rather than becoming a pawn in someone else's emotional drama, you can become the master of your own internal world. Through Stoicism, you can train yourself to stay calm, centered, and in control, no matter what emotional tactic she tries. This isn't just about succeeding in romantic relationships. It's about reclaiming your personal power and refusing to be manipulated. It's about becoming a man who fully understands his value. So if you're tired of being led around emotionally, if you're done playing the fool in someone else's story, and you're ready to regain your strength, stay with me. These 10 Stoic principles are about to shift the way you see everything. Let's start with emotional detachment. This is the foundation for everything else. To detach emotionally does not mean you stop caring altogether. It means that you no longer allow your emotions to rule you. You're not controlled by every fluctuation in someone else's behavior. You stop being reactive. Most guys lose it the moment a woman starts pulling away or acting distant. They get anxious, overanalyze every little thing, and rush to fix whatever they think went wrong. But let's be real. This is often just a test. She's watching to see how you'll handle the pressure, and when you start chasing her, desperate for her attention, you're failing the test. What you need to do instead is remain emotionally steady. Whether she's blowing up your phone with texts or completely ghosting you for days, your emotional state should remain consistent. You are calm. You are balanced. You are unaffected by her emotional highs and lows. And the more you practice this kind of detachment, the more attractive you actually become, because nothing draws people in more than someone who exudes emotional stability. It shows strength, and strength is magnetic. When you refuse to be shaken, you become someone who's impossible to play. Now let's talk about recognizing her behavioral patterns, because once you start paying attention, you'll see the same emotional tactics pop up over and over again. This matters because behavior patterns reveal intent, and when you can identify a pattern, the entire game becomes predictable, and predictability gives you power. Let's break it down with a classic example: hot and cold behavior. One day she's texting you non-stop, telling you how amazing you are, and even talking about the future. Then, suddenly, nothing. She becomes distant, distracted, maybe even cold. That roller coaster is not an accident. It's a deliberate push-pull strategy. She's doing it to test whether you'll chase her when she backs away. Most guys fall right into the trap. They panic, start over-texting, asking if everything's okay, trying to fix what they think is broken. But not you. You're going to recognize this for what it is, a test of emotional strength. And instead of reacting, you'll stay steady. You'll let her be the one to reach out. When you refuse to react emotionally to her inconsistent behavior, you completely change the dynamic. Suddenly, she's the one wondering why you didn't bite the bait, why you didn't chase. And let's be clear, this isn't always malicious. Sometimes women do this without even realizing it. It's a subconscious test of your confidence and composure, but whether it's intentional or not, the effect is the same. And your response should always be rooted in emotional discipline. Another behavioral pattern you need to be aware of is the breadcrumbing tactic. This happens when a woman gives you just enough attention to keep you engaged, but never actually commits to anything meaningful. You might get the occasional flirty text or vague agreement to meet up, but when it's time to solidify plans, she suddenly becomes unavailable or unresponsive. This is a calculated move meant to keep you emotionally invested, spending your time and energy, all while she avoids making any real commitment in return. So, how do you deal with breadcrumbing? The answer is simple. You call it out in a composed and emotionally detached manner. You might say something like, "Look, I'm not here for half-hearted attention. If you're not genuinely interested in spending time together, that's completely fine, but I'm not going to stick around waiting." You deliver this message without anger, without frustration, and most importantly, without chasing. By doing this, you make it clear that you have self-respect and are unwilling to accept anything less than what you truly deserve. Setting firm boundaries is crucial, and doing it early on is even more important. Boundaries are not just a means of self-protection, they are a statement of self-respect. Here's the hard truth. If you fail to set clear boundaries at the beginning of a relationship, you're essentially signaling to her that it's acceptable to disrespect or walk over you. A lot of men shy away from drawing those lines because they worry it will scare women off. But here's the reality. Women are drawn to boundaries. Why? Because boundaries reflect that you value and respect yourself, and that kind of self-assurance is magnetic. Now, how do you set boundaries in a way that doesn't come across as overbearing or insecure? It starts with understanding that boundaries are about your own well-being. It's not about telling her what she can or cannot do. It's about expressing what you need in order to feel respected and emotionally safe. For example, if she frequently cancels plans at the last minute or ghosts you with no explanation, don't ignore it or pretend it doesn't bother you. Instead, bring it up in a calm and straightforward way. You might say, "I've noticed you've been canceling plans a lot lately. I really value consistency. If you're not interested in making this work, that's okay, but I'm not comfortable with this back and forth." This isn't an accusation or an attack. It's a mature and clear communication of your expectations. And here's where it becomes powerful. When you set boundaries from a place of genuine self-respect, you create a scenario where she either adjusts and starts respecting you, or she walks away. Either outcome is a win for you because you've preserved your emotional integrity and avoided being dragged into a disrespectful dynamic. Let's look at a common scenario where boundaries are absolutely necessary. Say you're seeing a woman who likes to flirt with other guys in front of you. She may be doing it to provoke jealousy or to test how much you care. Most guys either explode in anger or sit there fuming in silence. But that's not you. You remain composed, and when the moment is right, you calmly take her aside and say something like, "Look, I'm not into these kinds of games. If you're interested in other guys, that's totally your choice. But I'm not going to be part of that." You're not reacting emotionally. You're not starting a scene. You're simply communicating a boundary and making it clear that if it's not respected, you're ready to walk away. When it comes to mind games, nothing makes a stronger impact than staying calm under pressure. Many women will test a man's composure to see if they can provoke a reaction. They might talk about their ex, flirt with someone else in front of you, or make passive-aggressive comments, all designed to push your buttons. Most men fall for it and react exactly how she expects, with jealousy, anger, or insecurity. But you're going to take the Stoic approach. When she tries to test you emotionally, you stay calm, collected, and completely unfazed. Why does this approach work? Because when you don't react, it takes away her power in the situation. She expects a reaction, a blow-up, a jealous remark, a defensive argument. But when you remain unshaken, the dynamic shifts. You're sending a message that she doesn't have control over your emotions. Here's an example. Let's say during a conversation, she casually mentions her ex. "My ex used to take me to this amazing restaurant." Or, "I had the best summer with my ex." She's trying to trigger insecurity or jealousy. Most guys would respond with something like, "I don't want to hear about your ex," or, "Why are you still talking about him?" But not you. You keep your cool and respond with something like, "That's cool. I'm sure he was a great guy." You're not giving her the emotional reaction she's fishing for. and that unpredictability throws her off. Now picture another situation. She's flirting with another man in a group setting. Most guys would try to compete for attention or lash out at her for being disrespectful. But the Stoic response is different. You stay composed, even if it stings a bit inside. You don't try to one-up the other guy, and you don't confront her in a reactive way. You just observe. If she's doing this to get your attention, your indifference will confuse her. She'll start wondering why it's not affecting you, and that's when the power dynamic begins to shift in your favor. The core principle is simple. Never allow your emotions to dictate your behavior. When you maintain your calm under pressure, you demonstrate that you are grounded, self-controlled, and not easily rattled. And that kind of inner strength is extremely attractive. One of the biggest mistakes guys make in relationships is losing focus on their long-term goals. They get caught up in the moment, constantly chasing short-term validation. Whether it's the thrill of her attention, the temporary fix of resolving an argument, or the emotional high of her affection. But Stoicism teaches us to look beyond the immediate and keep our eyes on the bigger picture. Many men lose their sense of direction in relationships because they get caught up in seeking instant gratification. They chase after the emotional high of her attention, the comfort of her affection, or the quick relief of resolving conflict. But the principles of Stoicism teach us to focus on the long term. When you commit to your long-term aspirations, you naturally stop fixating on the daily emotional roller coaster that relationships can sometimes bring. Think of it like this. If you're building a solid career, improving your physical health, and pursuing personal development, you simply don't have the bandwidth for trivial emotional games. Your time and mental energy are too valuable to be wasted on such distractions. Adopting this mindset brings two powerful changes. First, you become less reactive because you're not relying solely on her attention for emotional fulfillment. Second, you instantly become more appealing because there's nothing more magnetic than a man who's chasing purpose. Imagine you're dating a woman and things are progressing smoothly. Then suddenly she starts to retreat, texts less frequently, cancels plans, and appears emotionally distant. Most guys would immediately spiral, overanalyzing everything, becoming clingy and bending over backward to fix things. They become overly available and lose their self-respect in the process. But a man who's focused on his long-term goals doesn't panic. He stays grounded because he understands that his worth isn't defined by whether or not she's showing him affection. He's busy constructing his future, evolving and staying aligned with his personal mission. If she chooses to be part of that journey, that's great. But if not, he doesn't lose sleep over it. When you prioritize your long-term vision, you grow more emotionally self-sufficient. You no longer need her approval to feel confident or worthy, because that validation comes from your achievements, your discipline, and your continual growth. And here's the twist. When she notices that you're not chasing after her or getting wrapped up in emotional tug-of-war, her interest often intensifies. Why? Because you're not like the other guys waiting by the phone. You're the one building something bigger than drama. You're the man whose time is too valuable for emotional games. Another major pitfall many men fall into is emotional retaliation. It's a common trap. She might do something that stings, flirt with another guy, ignore your texts, or act hot and cold. Your gut reaction might be to get even. Maybe you start flirting with someone else to get back at her, or you suddenly pull away to make her chase you. Let's be clear, this never works. The moment you start reacting emotionally, you've already lost the upper hand. Why? Because she's now in control. You've allowed her actions to dictate yours, and that hands her all the power. A man rooted in Stoicism doesn't retaliate emotionally because he knows that emotional reactivity is a weakness. Instead, he chooses to respond with quiet detachment. If she ghosts him, he doesn't spiral or seek revenge. He simply pulls back his attention and reinvests it in himself. If she tries to make him jealous, he doesn't fall into the trap. He stays composed and carries on with his life. Picture this. You're at a social gathering with a woman you've been seeing, and she starts openly flirting with another guy. Most men would react in one of two ways. They'd either confront her in a heated moment or try to outdo her by flirting with someone else. But both of these reactions stem from insecurity. Instead, you choose not to react. You remain calm and let her play her game without participating. This response frustrates her because she realizes she no longer has emotional leverage over you. By refusing to retaliate emotionally, you maintain full control of the situation. You're sending a powerful signal: I won't be manipulated. And the beauty of this approach is that the game loses its power. She'll either stop playing or realize you're someone who can't be easily controlled. Either way, you come out on top. Now let's talk about communication. It's the foundation of any strong relationship, yet many people struggle with it. They either dodge difficult conversations entirely or approach them with so much emotion that it leads to fights, misunderstandings, and unnecessary chaos. But a Stoic man knows how to express himself clearly and assertively without allowing his emotions to cloud his message. The key is to communicate your boundaries and expectations calmly. When you're dealing with a woman who's playing games or acting inconsistently, you don't need to raise your voice or create drama. You simply express your thoughts with poise and clarity. For example, if she's been distant or unpredictable, most guys either explode or try to suppress their feelings until they eventually blow up. But you approach the situation differently. You say something like, "Hey, I've noticed you've been acting a bit differently lately. I'm not sure what's going on, but I'd like to know if there's something we should talk about." See how there's no accusation, no emotional charge, and no neediness? You're just being observant and opening the door for honest dialogue. This approach catches her off guard because you're not acting out of desperation or emotion. You're coming from a place of steady confidence. And that kind of energy is incredibly appealing. When you speak with clarity and firmness, you create the tone and standard for how the relationship will operate. You show her that you're not the kind of man who avoids confrontation or lets problems simmer beneath the surface. You're direct, mature, and unafraid to bring things into the open. By doing this, you're establishing a relationship dynamic rooted in honesty and mutual respect, not one built on manipulation or power plays. You're letting her know that mind games have no place here, and that communication is something you take seriously. That kind of presence not only calms the storm, but prevents future drama from ever starting. At the core of it all, you have to put your own well-being first. This isn't just a motivational catchphrase, it's a fundamental truth. The most important relationship you'll ever have isn't with her or anyone else. It's the one you have with yourself. And yet, so many men forget this when they get tangled up in emotional mind games or manipulative behavior. If you're constantly feeling stressed, uneasy, or like you're tiptoeing around someone else's moods, then something's wrong. It's a clear sign that you're allowing things into your life that don't belong there. No relationship, no matter how attractive, exciting, or passionate, is worth giving up your peace of mind, your sense of self, or your mental health. The moment you sacrifice your own needs and emotional stability to keep someone else happy, you've already handed over your power. This isn't about being selfish or dismissing the feelings of others. It's about finding the balance where your well-being isn't constantly being undermined. Ironically, when you prioritize your own health, growth, and emotional grounding, you become far more appealing to women. They gravitate toward men who know their worth, who don't waver when things get unstable, and who maintain a strong internal compass. This doesn't just apply to romantic connections, it spills into every corner of your life. Whether it's your career, your friendships, or your family, the standard remains: protect your peace. Picture this. You're dating a woman who keeps sending you mixed signals. One moment she's affectionate, and the next she's cold and distant. Naturally, you start to question everything, wondering what you might have done wrong, possibly even adjusting your own behavior to match her ever-changing mood. That's the trap. Before long, you're no longer living in your own lane. You're walking on emotional eggshells. And that's when you need to stop and ask yourself, what is this doing to my mental state? If the answer is anything short of positive, it's time to step back. Pull your energy away. Recenter yourself. Do things that lift you up. Hit the gym. Focus on that project you've been passionate about. Spend time with people who genuinely support you. You owe yourself that much. Protecting your mental space isn't optional. It's essential. And here's the twist. The moment you remove her from the center of your universe and refocus on yourself, everything changes. One of two things will happen. She'll either realize you're not someone she can push around and start respecting you more, or she'll disappear entirely because she no longer has control over you. In both scenarios, you come out on top. Either you've distanced yourself from someone who wasn't bringing value to your life, or you've taken back the reins and re-established the power dynamic on your terms. Men today are constantly bombarded with the idea that they have to put a woman's emotional needs ahead of their own, like being a good man means being a doormat. That's false. Looking after your emotional, mental, and physical health isn't selfish. It's survival, and not just survival, it's magnetic. When you demonstrate that your inner peace is sacred and untouchable, you immediately earn more respect and desire. So the next time you feel like someone's behavior is threatening your peace, ask yourself this: is this truly worth the cost to my well-being? If the answer is no, then it's time to recalibrate, reclaim your energy, and pour it into what really counts: yourself. Let me tell you something most men don't want to hear. Patience is your ultimate weapon when dealing with women who play emotional games. I know you want clarity now. You want answers. You want certainty immediately. But the reality is, women will often test your patience. They want to know if you can handle the gray areas, the unpredictability. And in a world where everyone is addicted to instant replies and constant communication, the man who can remain patient stands out like a lighthouse in a storm. He's rare, he's valuable, he's unshakable. If she doesn't reply to your message within a few minutes, you don't lose it. If she cancels plans last minute, you don't explode with frustration. Instead, you maintain your composure, you let things unfold, and you stay grounded. Because here's the deal: women will test your patience, sometimes intentionally, sometimes without realizing it. They'll delay their responses, go quiet for days, just to see how you'll react. Will you panic? Will you chase? Will you crumble under the pressure? Sadly, most guys do. They start firing off double texts, asking if everything's okay, trying to fix what they assume is broken. But not you. You're different. You've mastered patience. So the next time she plays one of those games, don't react. Do nothing. Give her the space. Let her come to you. And trust me, she will. She'll notice that you didn't flinch, She'll wonder why you didn't chase. And that's the moment the dynamic shifts. Why? Because now you've demonstrated something powerful. You don't need her validation to feel secure. You're not emotionally fragile. You've got a life, a full one, and you're not putting it on pause just because she's pulling back. This makes you a challenge, and let's be real, women love a challenge. But this kind of patience isn't just about dating. It's a mindset. It's about resisting the urge to react to every little emotional spike. It's about delaying gratification, about recognizing that the best things in life, whether it's in love, success, or self-mastery, don't come instantly. They take time. When you adopt this level of patience, you rise above the drama. You stop chasing things that don't benefit you in the long term. You stop reacting impulsively to every small emotional shift. You break free from the constant emotional turbulence that traps so many men. A Stoic man understands that the best things in life require time. He's not rushing. He's not acting out of desperation. He's committed to the long-term vision. And in the end, the long game always wins. While other men are out there scrambling for attention and craving instant approval, you remain composed, allowing life to unfold while staying sharply focused on your personal goals. But understand this: patience doesn't mean waiting around endlessly without action. It means having the discipline to wait for the right opportunity before making your move. Whether it's in love, career, or personal development, patience equips you to act strategically and with intention, moves that create lasting success, not just momentary satisfaction. Now let's talk about one of the most powerful choices you can make: knowing when to walk away. This is where the real strength lies. There's a saying, the most powerful position you can have is the ability to walk away and truly mean it. If you take away just one thing from this entire message, let it be this: mastering the ability to walk away is your greatest power move. It's the final card, the ultimate show of strength, and most men are too scared to use it. But the moment you do, everything changes. Here's the reality: not every woman deserves your time, your energy, or your emotional investment. If she's constantly playing games, keeping you on the hook, disrespecting your time, or treating you like a second option, you need to be ready to walk away. Not out of spite, not with loud arguments or emotional outbursts, but with steady, quiet confidence. When you choose to walk away, you're sending a clear message. I don't need your approval to validate my worth. You're showing that you have choices, that your self-respect matters more than someone else's inconsistent affection. And here's the unexpected truth: many times, the moment you walk away, she'll start chasing you. Why? Because walking away is the strongest form of self-respect, and women are naturally drawn to men who value themselves. But let's not get it twisted. Walking away should never be used as a manipulative trick to get her attention. It's not a game, it's a declaration. It's saying, I'm done with the back and forth. If you're serious about being a part of my life, that's great. But if not, I'm completely fine moving on without you. If she's constantly canceling plans, texting other guys, or treating you with disregard, you respond calmly and directly. You let her know, I'm not interested in being part of this cycle. If you're serious, let me know. If not, I'm out. No yelling, no bitterness, no drama, just cool, unwavering self-respect. And then you walk. You don't check up on her social media. You don't send follow-up texts. You shift your focus back to yourself, to your goals, and to your peace of mind. And here's the cold truth. You might walk away and never hear from her again. She might not come back, but that's okay, because by walking away, you've already won. You've preserved your dignity. You've protected your mental peace. You've kept your self-worth intact. And believe me, those things are infinitely more valuable than holding on to a relationship that chips away at your soul. Why is walking away so powerful? Because most men can't do it. They fear losing her. They fear being alone. But when you walk away, you're announcing to the world, I'm not afraid. I know who I am. I know what I bring to the table, and I refuse to accept anything less than what I deserve. That kind of quiet certainty is rare, and it's magnetic. The best part? When you walk away, you take your power back. You reclaim control over your emotions, your happiness, and your life. You stop letting someone else dictate your mood, your confidence, or your direction. That, my friend, is the essence of true strength. So, there it is. 10 powerful, practical, and transformative principles to navigate relationships when you're dealing with emotional manipulation and mind games. But these aren't just relationship tactics, they are life strategies. When you cultivate emotional detachment, set firm boundaries, maintain your composure, protect your well-being, exercise patience, and master the ability to walk away, you become a man who is grounded, unshakable, and deeply respected. Keep in mind, this isn't about deceiving women or playing head games. It's about self-mastery. It's about becoming the man who leads his life, not the one who is led by circumstances or emotions. When you step into that version of yourself, you naturally attract women who respect your presence, value your consistency, and refuse to play games because they know you won't tolerate it. But this is just the start. These principles are your foundation, your launchpad toward becoming your highest self. The real journey begins now. Keep evolving, keep sharpening your mindset, keep living with purpose and power. Apply these truths not just in your relationships, but in your work, your habits, and your goals, everywhere. If you've gained insight and value from this message, consider supporting the channel by joining our memberships or subscribing. Every bit of support helps us continue sharing wisdom that empowers men and makes this knowledge accessible to all. Let's build a brotherhood of men who refuse to be played, who reclaim their strength, and who take full ownership of their lives.